The Hokage of Konoha will always be a Senju. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 76, Meeting the Third Hokage again. The next day, Naoki stretched comfortably and looked around with sleepy eyes. He had almost no memory of what happened yesterday, so he was very curious why people around him looked at him with strange eyes. He pulled over a Orochimaru, who used to have a good relationship with him, but this guy refused to tell him what happened yesterday. He found Hokage and he only said one sentence: no drinking in the future. ? Didn't you ask me to drink yesterday? You brought the wine yourself. Okay. Naoki wanted to ask more questions, but Tsukumo started to analyze the strategy directly on the map. The Sand Village ninjas use the terrain and their familiarity with the people of Wind Country to evade our large forces' pursuit time and time again. But once our people are left alone, they will come up and tear us apart like sharks smelling blood. And if we attack the Sand Village directly, it is easy to defend and difficult to attack, and the barrier is also very strong. The Sand Village also has powerful puppeteers like Uchiha. Even if we can win, most of our men will be lost. It is obviously impossible to fight head on at this stage. The people of Konoha are not fools. In fact, it is very simple to crack the tactics of the Sand Village. Slaughter. The Konoha ninjas can kill a village after passing through a village. Kill a town after passing through a town. Kill gods and buddhas if they get in the way. If Orochimaru was leading the battle here, he might really do so. But the one here is Tsukumo. He can't do such a cruel thing as massacring civilians. That's why Konoha sent Rope Tree to assist Tsukumo and end the war as soon as possible. The only way now is the decapitation tactic. Tsukumo stared at Naoki, trying his best not to think about what happened last night. Naoki nodded in agreement. As long as Sand Village lost the third Hokage, Uchiha alone as a puppeteer would not be able to handle it. Even if Konoha did not touch Sand Village, the other villages that had grudges against Sand Village would not mind taking advantage of the situation. But why don't you sit down? Naoki blinked and looked at Tsukumo. Tsukumo smiled. There is no door to hell, so you broke in? Let's go and practice. The yellow sand was whirling. Two struggling figures advanced against the wind and sand. Damn. What route did you choose? Naoki wrapped a scarf and looked at Tsukumo beside him speechlessly. Nonsense. Is this the route's fault? Who knew that a sandstorm would suddenly appear? This is a weather problem, okay? Azi, you are the child of weather, right? Whether it was when he came to the land of wind with Orochimaru, when he was young, or when he came here by himself, Rope Tree had never encountered such a terrifying sandstorm. Fortunately, Tsukumo had a strong sense of direction and did not lose his way in the sandstorm. The two sneaked to the Sand Village and looked at the barrier outside the Sand Village. Let me do it. Tsukumo took out a scroll. Rope Tree keenly saw that one of the symbols in the scroll was a small whirlpool. The symbol of the Uzumaki clan. Ninjutsu, breaking the realm technique. A hole as high as a person was opened. Tsukumo put away the scroll with a normal expression. Rope Tree did not ask any more questions and followed Tsukumo to the Sand Village. The stealth methods of the two were derived from Hokage's sword technique, and basically no one could find the two people who were deliberately concealing themselves. This was the first time that Rope Tree looked closely at the Sand Village. The last time he came here, he was knocked unconscious and came in. When he left, he was even more concerned about escaping, so how could he have the leisure to appreciate such a scene? Unlike Konoha, which is gradually recovering, Sand Village is getting worse day by day because of the lack of support from the Rain Village. A young child walked on the street carefully, holding his pocket. At this time, an adult appeared fiercely. I found you, kid. The adult picked up the little boy. Dare to steal? I'll beat you to death. The little boy knelt down in fear. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. My sister is sick. She needs food. Stop talking nonsense. It has nothing to do with me if your father dies. The adult didn't show any mercy and reached his hand directly into the little boy's pocket. Ouch. The adult screamed. It turned out that the little boy bit the adult's hand in a hurry. The adult was furious and punched and kicked the child and finally snatched the contents of the child's pocket, a small bag of rice. The little boy was covered in wounds and cried on the ground holding himself. Here, a soft and sunny face appeared in front of the little boy. Rope Tree held a bag of military ration pills in his hand. Seeing that the little boy didn't dare to take it, Rope Tree forced it into the little boy's hand. It's not very delicious, but it's much more nutritious than rice. The little boy looked at Naoki warily, but finally stuffed the food into his arms. Thank you. The little boy's eyes were still full of fear, and he ran away after getting it. By the way, remember to eat it all. Throw away the bag. Otherwise, something bad will happen. Naoki shouted from afar to remind him. After all, it was Konoha's supplies, and it still had Konoha's mark. Tsukumo sighed beside Naoki. There are winners in the war on the surface, but in fact, they are all losers. Naoki nodded and looked at the Kazukage's office. So, let's end this damn war with our own hands. Kazukage office. The third Kazukage put a stack of documents aside with a haggard look. He can't hold on any longer. The third Kazukage knew that Konoha just wanted to wear down the Sand Village. But the third Kazukage was still gritting his teeth and holding on. After all, there is a difference between surrendering and surrendering. Konoha might feel tired later, and they don't ask for victory, but they might be able to draw with Konoha. The third Kazukage was planning to do just that. Otherwise, if he surrendered directly, he, the third Kazukage, would probably be in trouble, even if he was the strongest person in the village. The third Kazukage looked at the desolate sand village outside the window, and he felt bad. Suddenly, a white light flashed. The pupils of the third Kazukage instantly dilated. Clang. Didn't it work? Tsukumo felt a little regretful. The third Kazukage had already been sweating coldly. He had also heard about Hatake Tsukumo's assassination skills. Chiyo's son and daughter-in-law died at Tsukumo's hands. But the third Kazukage had never expected that he would be assassinated in the office of the Kazukage in the Sand Village. What he couldn't imagine was that Tsukumo actually dared to come here to assassinate him. If the third Kazukage hadn't been extremely cautious, there would always be a magnetic field around him, plus the reaction and speed of a cage-level strongman. He would have been able to block the knife. The third Kazukage controlled the iron sand to wrap himself up and looked at Hatake Tsukumo with a gloomy face. How dare you come in? Then don't even think about leaving. Countless iron sand shot towards Tsukumo like fine needles. Would release. Would a ray wall. A wooden wall rose up, making the iron sand embed powerlessly on the wall. Would release. Could it be? The third Kazukage looked up and saw Naoki standing on the roof, looking at him with a smile. Hello, Lord Kazukage. Nice to see you again. Chapter 77 Shadow Level Showdown. It's you. The third Kazukage gnashed his teeth and looked at Naoki. Naoki may not be the person the third Kazukage hated the most, but he was definitely the person he regretted not killing the most. Especially after investigation, it was found that Naoki also leaked Konoha's anti-encirclement plan, and the third Kazukage was extremely angry. Why did he think so much at that time? Wouldn't it be enough to just hit him to death with a hammer? Naoki jumped down from the roof and looked at the third Kazukage. Surrender. There is no point in fighting like this, otherwise you will die. The third Kazukage quickly began to calculate the strength of his side. Since the two were able to sneak in, it means that the guards have basically been dealt with. Without the shadow guards, it would take at least 5 minutes for Chiyo to find out that something happened here and rush over. Resist Hatake Tsukumo, who is proficient in assassination, and Senju Naoki, who is good at frontal combat. What's more deadly is that this is inside the village. Even if he can resist in the end, and Chiyo's mother-in-law and the ninjas in the village can kill the two, the Sand Village will basically be eliminated. The third Kazukage is a bit embarrassed. Tsukumo saw the struggle of the third Kazukage. Let's duel? Huh? Naoki looked at Tsukumo. Are you serious? Can you beat the third Kazukage? I don't believe you. Unexpectedly, Tsukumo's hand was still pointing at Naoki. As the shadow of the village, you must have a lot of psychological pressure to fight in the village. I'll give you a chance. You and Chiyo will join forces. Naoki and I will fight outside together. If you win, I will tell Lord Hokage that we can't do anything to you. It can be considered a draw. Sand Village will not pay any price. Otherwise. The third Kazekage was a little tempted. He didn't expect that Tsukumo would actually do a duel like a samurai under the right time, place, and people. And Naoki winked at Tsukumo crazily. Are you crazy? Once Sand Village really wins, the Konoha level will definitely not be satisfied. At that time, let alone anything else, the head of the Anbu will definitely be removed. Tsukumo looked at the third Kazekage with a firm look. There is only one reason for him to do this: he will not lose. The third Kazekage was silent for a long time. Now, Tsukumo was a little arrogant now, but he was not stupid. If the third Kazekage summoned the Sand Village ninja to surround them, they would be in trouble. The third Kazekage was not surprised. If Tsukumo said 3 days later, he would have suspected that there was a trap. The three figures disappeared, and ordinary ninjas could not catch their movements at all. Even the slowest rope tree here, relying on the secret skills and the Hatake style swordsmanship, could barely reach the threshold of a cage level strongman. The three of them quickly left the Sand Village and confronted each other. Exactly 5 minutes later, a short and fat figure also appeared. Lord Kazekage. Grandma Chiyo. Chiyo stared at Tsukumo with resentful eyes. After all, it was a revenge for killing her son. The third Kazekage told Chiyo about the content of the bet. Chiyo took a deep breath. She also knew that this was an opportunity for the Sand Village, an opportunity to get rid of the war. Lord Kazekage, leave Hatake Tsukumo to me. The third Kazekage nodded. Although Hatake Tsukumo's assassination skills are strange, I have learned some of his tricks after fighting him for several years. Naoki is different. After disappearing for several years, he returned directly with a strong attitude of killing the demigod of the ninja world. What's more, there is the wood release with a large-scale attack. The third generation Kazekage is really afraid that Chiyo can't handle it. You too, do it. Hatake Tsukumo drew out his short sword named White Fang. It's time to end the grievances of the past few years. Chiyo took out a scroll from her sleeve. Today, I want revenge. Not only for his son, but also for the countless Sand Village ninjas who died during the war. The third generation Kazekage looked at Naoki, and the iron sand around him began to gather. You surprise me. Is the wood release ninja really that terrifying? Facing the third generation Kazekage who killed him in seconds before, Naoki also played 120% of his spirit. It's okay. After all, there are only 2 wood style ninjas, me and my grandfather. I'm pretty good, if you take the average. Yes, after all, half of the first generation can also suppress the ninja world. The third Kazekage smiled. Magnetic style, sand iron wings. A pair of wings formed by iron sand slowly spread out. The third Kazekage flew high in the sky, looking at Noise with yellow pupils. Come on, let me see if you have really grown into a towering tree after all these years. Noise put his palms together. As you wish. Wood style, tree world descends. The third Kazekage frowned as he looked at the thick branches rising from the ground in front of him. Is this wood style? Just a ninjutsu has such power. The huge branches danced in the air like arms, and like a pair of iron fists, strangled the third Kazekage. Magnetic style, sand iron rain. The iron sand behind the third Kazekage turned into countless fine needles to force back the huge tree. The front of the tree was shot into a sieve by the black fine needles, and it broke powerlessly and fell to the ground, raising a huge dust. Magnetic escape, sand iron triangular pyramid. A bunch of iron sand was gathered together to form a huge triangular pyramid flying towards the top of Noise. Noise jumped up quickly and landed on a branch. But the triangular pyramid also changed direction, like a tracking missile. Can't dodge. Is it because of magnetism? As a ninja, it is inevitable to have some iron products on your body. Ninjutsu, triple Rashomon. 3 evil ghost Rashomon swaying bells appeared. The triangular pyramid hit the first door and smashed it open directly until the third door was blocked and turned into iron sand again. Fortunately, the power is still a little smaller than Susanoo. Noise compared it and complained about Susanoo's perversion in his heart. The scattered iron sand surrounded Noise again. Noise's right foot was wrapped by a bunch of iron sand, but his body gradually turned into a wooden statue. Wooden clone. Noise has come to the bottom of the third generation Kazekage. Wood release, all bag techniques. 8 wooden hands stretched out from the soil, like a barrier, that tightly surrounded the third Kazakage. The third Kazakage looked at the layout around him, and made a no seal with his hands. Senju Naoki, who gave you the courage to fight me in such a small space? Countless iron sands gathered together to form a magnetic domain. This is a technique that uses iron sand to form a large barrier with long spikes in the air for piercing attacks. I can fly and attack freely in the barrier. This is a form of ninjutsu with the strongest range and density. You are still too young. The third Kazakage looked at Naoki with regret. Naoki also smiled, and his smile was particularly brilliant. A round eye pattern appeared at the beginning of Naoki's eyebrows, and a circle of red marks appeared on his eyelids. Third Kazakage, your technique is indeed very powerful, but the facts will tell you that you are outdated. Naoki quickly made a seal for a ninjutsu. Immortal technique, tree binding and eternal burial. Chapter 78 Victory. Tree binding and eternal burial, a technique that uses vine-like saplings to entangle the opponent, then grow into a big tree, completely pinning the opponent under the tree. This technique usually takes a long time to prepare, but after being infused with natural energy to form a fairy technique, its CD is greatly reduced. Countless vines are flying in the small space, entangled with the iron sand of the third Kazakage. Once the vines capture the iron sand, they expand at a very fast speed, forming a tree that firmly wraps the iron sand. Does it look a bit like white Zetsu? The third Kazakage's face changed. The vines expanded very quickly, not giving him time to separate the iron sand. The small space was soon filled with trees of all sizes and strange shapes. Trouble. The third Kazakage looked at the rope tree and thought about countermeasures. I'm deeply sorry about your son's matter. Tsukumo's white fang short sword emitted bursts of white light. Chihaya sneered and opened the scroll, and 10 patterns appeared on it. False feelings. 10 patterns burst into light, and 10 puppets of different shapes appeared. White secret technique, the Tenkinmatsu. Tsukumo tightened his grip on White Fang's hand. At this moment, Chihiya's reaction, speed, physical fitness, and control were all in the golden age of a puppeteer. Before her grandson debuted, she was the undisputed #1 puppet master in the ninja world. Swish. A poison needle flew out. The battle began. The battle between the two was not as gorgeous as the battle between the third Kazakage and rope tree next door. But because of this, every move was a huge killing intent. Once the puppet controlled by Chihiya's grandmother was touched, combined with the poison on it, it would either be dead or injured. The same was true for Tsukumo's short sword. On the surface, it looked ordinary, but if it was hit by a knife, it could basically be declared dead. If Rope Tree and the third Kazakage were the current peak duel of ninjutsu, Tsukumo and Chihiya were the absolute collision of ninja skills. Outside the two battlefields, a red-haired child was hiding behind the rock to watch the battle. The ninja who fought against the Kazakage-sama was so strong. The red-haired child controlled 2 puppets to stand behind him to protect him. The 2 puppets had father and mother written on them respectively. The identity of the red-haired child was also revealed, Scorpion of the Red Sand. After Chihiya found that the Kazakage was missing, she hurried to the outside of the village, but she didn't pay attention to the small tail following behind her. Can a ninja really be this strong? There was a big doubt in Scorpion's small eyes. What should the art of life be? The third Kazakage was a ninja who had experienced many battles. Soon, he found that the speed of the vines was actually much slower than that of the iron sand. The third Kazakage used all his strength to launch the magnetic escape. The speed of the iron sand also reached its limit and began to cut the vines at a very fast speed. The third Kazakage also gradually gained the upper hand in this domain. Ninja technique, Sand Centipede. Countless iron sand formed short centipedes, which specialized in drilling in the gaps between branches, making the huge branches useless. Rope Tree was helpless as he watched the tiny iron centipedes crawling around. His control of wood release was not as good as the third Kazakage's development of magnetic release. Apart from anything else, Rope Tree couldn't help but twitch his mouth when he saw some of the iron centipedes as small as hair. The third Kazakage, a ninja who could fight alone, fight in a group, and was very cautious, was killed silently by Scorpion. This should be considered a script kill, right? The iron sand of the third Kazakage soon spread throughout the space. Rope Tree had no choice but to retreat first. Seeing Rope Tree give up, the third Kazekage didn't chase him. Give up, I should be able to restrain you. Rope Tree rolled his eyes at the third Kazekage. Give up, what the hell? As if you can quickly get rid of me? As Rope Tree said, both of them had ways to target each other, but neither of them could kill them with one blow, so it was difficult to determine the winner in a short period of time. What? You said a protracted war? Then Rope Tree would not be sleepy. Both of them knew in their hearts that, since they couldn't do anything to each other, they could only rely on their partners. The battlefield between Tsukumo and Chiyo. Chiyo's fingers were flying, and the coordination of the 10 puppets was perfect. And Tsukumo seemed to have opened the Byakugan and Sharingan, and the short knife in his hand flew up and down, constantly shooting down hidden weapons. Suddenly, Tsukumo saw a little red in the distance, in the endless yellow sand. Such a bright color as red attracts the eye like a candle in the dark. The battle between masters is all about the millimeter. Chiyo followed Tsukumo's eyes and saw the ball of fire. Scorpion. Chiyo was shocked. How could he appear here? Just when Chiyo's emotions fluctuated, Tsukumo's eyes lit up. Opportunity. Hands raised, knives fell. The 2 puppets were chopped into pieces. The 10 Kinmatsu people are a whole, and the combat power dropped rapidly without 2 of them. After Tsukumo accumulated a little advantage, he did not give in, and beat Chiyo back step by step. In the end, the short knife was placed on Chiyo's neck. You lost. Chiyo looked at the short sword White Fang in front of her with despair, wishing she could hit it head on, but looking at the small-eyed scorpion in the distance, she didn't make a move after all. The third Kazekage and Rope Tree also saw the battle situation over there. The third Kazekage was a little disappointed, and seemed to be relieved. He breathed a sigh of relief. We lost. The war was over. Tsukumo retracted the White Fang that was across Chiyo's neck. That's someone very important to you, right? Chiyo's eyes were complicated. That's my grandson, Scorpion. Grandson. Tsukumo guessed the answer in his heart, but he just wanted to confirm it. It was him who killed the child's parents with his own hands. Rope Tree came to Tsukumo and saw the red-haired Scorpion. Unexpectedly, Scorpion saw Rope Tree and walked over like this. Chiyo shouted worriedly, Scorpion. Rope Tree looked at Scorpion who walked in front of him and couldn't help but sigh that she was indeed a beautiful woman. Rope Tree subconsciously touched Scorpion's still cute elastic face and even pinched it. The scene became a little awkward. Scorpion didn't seem to mind, but just looked into Rope Tree's eyes, which made Rope Tree feel a little cold. Could it be that Scorpion wanted to make him into a puppet because he had taken a fancy to him? Thinking of this, Rope Tree burst out with murderous aura and scared Chiyo to quickly come between the two to protect Scorpion. Scorpion still spoke and asked in a cute little voice, you are so strong. What do you pursue? Huh? You are not here to discuss science, but to discuss dreams? Rope Tree scratched his head. I can't tell Scorpion that my dream is to become the Sage of Six Paths, right? Dreams are a very serious thing. As long as you stick to your dream and keep going, no matter how others look at you, at least you know in your heart that you are not lost. After all, it is not easy to live in this world. Don't let others hurt you all over again. Rope Tree told Scorpion somewhat ambiguously, and at the same time told himself, don't give up, believe in yourself. Chapter 79, Comfortable Jiraiya. After a brief conversation with the eternal artist Sasori, Naoki and Tsukumo returned to the camp of the Land of Fire. The two were naturally not afraid that the third Kazekage would go back on his word. When it came to the level of the cage of a village, he would at least be a stickler for justice, not to mention that he was bound by the law. By the way, Naoki, if nothing goes wrong, I will be a father next month. What? Naoki looked at Tsukumo in shock. She could be pregnant for 10 months without going home for 3 years. King Kakashi. This was of course a joke. Tsukumo would occasionally take a leave to go home when he was guarding the battlefield. But Naoki didn't expect Kakashi's generation to be born so soon. This generation is basically the backbone of the 4th Ninja World War. Kakashi, Kei, Sarutobi Asuma, and Uchiha Itachi will all come into this world one after another. There is always a feeling that time makes people grow old. But Tsukumo is always a little worried in addition to his joy. After all, it is not easy to give birth to a child in this era, and there are too many cases of heavy bleeding. Have you thought of a name for your child? Naruto asked knowingly, but it still feels good to participate in Kakashi's naming ceremony. When Tsukumo mentioned this, his eyes immediately turned into crescents. Kakashi, it means scarecrow. The Sand Village battlefield officially ended. Tsukumo stayed here to do some finishing work, and Naoki, who couldn't sit still, decided to go to the Rain Ninja battlefield to find Jiraiya. It stands to reason that after Hanzo was killed, Jiraiya would be able to return to the village soon, but he actually asked for leave. Although the reason for the leave was to travel, Naoki didn't believe it, even if he killed Jiraiya. If nothing unexpected happened, Jiraiya is likely to be with the three little ones now. As Jiraiya's first batch of disciples and the future founder of Akatsuki, Naoki misses them in various ways, especially Nagato. He also wants to test Nagato. If Madara is really careless and doesn't protect Nagato, Naoki doesn't mind picking peaches. Rain Country. The weather in the Rain Country was as bad as ever, with heavy rain pouring down non-stop. Coupled with the defeat of the Rain Village and the death of Hanzo, the entire Rain Country fell into depression. Only in a small house, there seemed to be a different kind of warmth. Hey, Yahiko. That's today's dinner. Not your toy. Konan. Don't cut the meat so small. It needs big pieces. Nagato. If you don't eat it, Yahiko will eat it all. A white-haired young man in a red uniform was shouting, and there were three little guys around who were busy and frantic. Teacher Jiraiya. What do you mean Yahiko ate it all? It was obviously you who ate it. At this time, the cute Konan, who had not yet grown into a cold and arrogant sister, looked at Jiraiya with an indignant face. Really? Ha 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 ha. Jiraiya laughed heartily, louder than the thunder outside. A few months ago, Jiraiya accidentally met these three children during an ordinary battlefield inspection. Especially when he saw Nagato's samurai, Jiraiya was completely shocked. In addition, there was the prophecy of the Toad Sage about the Child of Prophecy. Jiraiya instantly recognized that Nagato, who had the 6 paths eye, was the legendary Child of Prophecy. So Jiraiya would stay to teach Nagato, and Yahiko and Konan were just incidental. But the magical thing is that Yahiko and Konan's talents are absolutely against the sky. Yahiko's chakra volume is not inferior to Nagato, who is a member of the Uzumaki clan. And that kind of sunny smile also makes people very fond of it. Konan has a strange blood limit, paper escape. The blood limit of escape has always been a difficult existence, and Konan's paper escape is no exception. Although Nagato has a samurai, his personality is actually a little cowardly. He usually hides behind Yahiko and Konan. He doesn't look like the protagonist of Destiny. After Jiraiya got familiar with the three people, he also threw the nonsense about the Child of Prophecy behind his head, got along with the three people, and happily taught them. On this day, when the 4 masters and apprentices were discussing how to deal with the big fish that they had just caught, Jiraiya's face changed. Wait here for a while, I'll go out for a while. Yahiko licked the oil on his hands. Teacher Jiraiya, it's raining so hard now, remember to bring an umbrella. No need. A voice suddenly came from the door. The sudden visitor made the 3 sensitive little ones feel like they were facing a great enemy and entered a defensive posture. Jiraiya stepped forward to open the door, but he relaxed when he saw the visitor. Naoki, how did you find this place? Naoki walked into the house and took off his raincoat. A big man with 3 little kids. This combination is still easy to find. Yahiko looked at the visitor and seemed to be an acquaintance of Jiraiya, and he breathed a sigh of relief. Teacher Jiraiya, who is this? Jiraiya was a little embarrassed. What should I say? Is this the Konoha ninja who just killed the highest leader of your ninja village? And Naoki's eyes were also looking at the 3 people, and finally stopped at Nagato. Nagato felt a little uncomfortable being stared at, and subconsciously hid behind Yahiko. Yahiko was a little unhappy when he noticed Nagato's strangeness. After all, there were too many people who coveted the samurai. Rope Tree looked at Yahiko like an angry calf and laughed. As for me, you should have heard of my name. My name is Senju Rope Tree. 3 people, 6 eyes, suddenly opened wide. Especially Nagato. Rope Tree was really afraid that he would use Chibaku Tensei on him. Yahiko asked in a low voice, are you the Senju Rope Tree of Konoha? Rope Tree came to the table very familiarly and picked up a piece of grilled fish and started to chew. You want to ask me if I'm the one who killed Hands of the Salamander, right? Then unfortunately, yes. The three people's faces turned pale. Why, you want to avenge Hands of the Salamander? Rope Tree looked at the three people half jokingly and half seriously. Even Yahiko, who is usually the most naughty, was a little at a loss at this moment. Okay, they are all children. Rope Tree, don't scare them. Jiraiya came out to rescue and took over the conversation. Why did you think of coming to me? Rope Tree swallowed a mouthful of fish meat and said with a little versatility, nothing. I just defeated the third Hokage and his men, and I came to see the Sand Village surrendered. Jiraiya, okay, you thieves are not human. Rope Tree looked at Jiraiya. Do you like this place? You don't want to go back to the village? Jiraiya did not hide anything. I don't want to go back. It's troublesome to go back. It's good to stay here with these three little guys. It's comfortable and worry-free. Rope Tree nodded, understanding that this was Jiraiya's initiative to give in. The positions in the village are 1 carrot and 1 pit. Tsunade was arranged to the hospital and was in charge of the medical team. Orochimaru focused on scientific research and also cooperated with Danzo. Then Jiraiya was very embarrassed. There was no position for him to show his hands and feet. As for scientific research, Jiraiya was not that material. Similarly, Rope Tree is the same. Once he goes back, he will bring a storm. Chapter 80 Madara's Order. The situation of Rope Tree when he returns may be even worse than Jiraiya's. The name Senju means that Rope Tree cannot do scientific research incognito like Orochimaru. It is even more impossible for Rope Tree to work in the medical team like Tsunade, which is in contact with a large number of ninjas and exposed to the public. So Konoha will inevitably face a turmoil. However, Rope Tree will not learn from Jiraiya and escape directly. After all, Danzo and his gang are definitely the kind of people who dare to take 10 steps forward if you take a step back. Jiraiya and Tsunade are good examples. One is the master of the 4th Hokage, and the other is the granddaughter of the First Hokage. They are so miserable that they can't go home. It shows how disgusting Danzo and his gang are. Jiraiya is still very naive now. He thinks that if he doesn't step into the fire pit, he will be forgotten after a while and can go back happily. Facts have proved that bowing to politicians who have no sympathy and bottom line at all is cruel to oneself. So Rope Tree is still a little dissatisfied with Jiraiya's choice. You are so cool here. What about my sister? Huh? Seeing Jiraiya's look, who was not sure if he was pretending to be stupid or really stupid, Naoki gave Jiraiya a slap. Shh, Naoki. You are becoming more and more like your sister. Seeing Jiraiya covering his head in pain, Naoki pouted in dissatisfaction. Although every brother doesn't want his sister to be taken advantage of by a pig. But Jiraiya is at least the more reliable one among the pigs, so he gritted his teeth and endured it. Konan seemed to smell the smell of gossip and timidly asked Naoki, Sir Naoki, is your sister Jiraiya's teacher's girlfriend? Naoki sighed, raised his greasy claws, and wanted to grab Konan's head. Fortunately, Yahiko was quick-witted and pulled Konan behind him, avoiding Naoki's claws. Your teacher may be a good teacher or a good ninja, but he is definitely not a good partner. You can't find someone like him. Konan secretly covered her mouth and began to laugh and looked at Jiraiya, making Jiraiya uncomfortable. Midnight after the three children fell asleep, Naoki and Jiraiya came outside together. That child named Nagato, his eyes are the eyes of the samurai, right? Jiraiya sighed. You really know? Yes, those eyes are the same eyes as the 6 Paths Sage. Naoki continued to ask, aren't you surprised? Naoki looked back at the house. Children of this age, they didn't master chakra before they met you, right? How did they survive this war? What's more, they have the samurai. Although not many people know about this pair of eyes, there are definitely many. Jiraiya heard what Naoki meant. Are you saying that someone is protecting them? Naoki nodded. Give me a chance tomorrow. I'll try. Jiraiya frowned. He didn't want his disciples to be hurt. Don't worry, I won't hurt Nagato. Naoki gave a half-true and half-false promise. Jiraiya was still struggling. If it is really as Naoki said, who is the person protecting Nagato and the others? What secrets are there? Or in other words, what is their purpose? Jiraiya thought about it for a long time and finally agreed, but he still said seriously, you must not hurt the three children. The next morning, Naoki said goodbye to Jiraiya. The three children did not have any feelings of reluctance to leave Naoki, but just felt that they had met Naoki. Jiraiya led the three people to practice as usual. Konan, your paper escape ninjutsu needs more precise control. You should practice treading water more. Nagato, your chakra has 5 nature changes, plus your eyes. The most important thing for you is to grasp the timing of the battle. Then, Jiraiya looked at Yahiko, his favorite disciple. You continue to practice treading water with Konan. Huh. Yahiko looked at the lake in front of him unhappily. Practice well. You need to calm down now. This is the most important thing. Jiraiya teaches everyone according to their aptitude and can keenly see the strengths and weaknesses of several people. At this time, a group of girls in gauze appeared on the other side of the lake and played and fought. Girls. Jiraiya's eyes were straight. You three can practice by yourselves. I see someone who needs help over there. I'll be right back. The three looked at Jiraiya with disdain. Please be a decent person. Jiraiya chatted with the women in a familiar manner and finally disappeared in the distance of the path. Konan was a little confused. Will Mr. Oaktree really hand over his sister to Mr. Jiraiya? Yahiko whispered mysteriously into Konan's ear. I once found that Mr. Jiraiya's manuscripts were full of mysterious things. Mysterious? Nagato glanced at his companion helplessly. Can you talk about this with a girl? Suddenly, Nagato's Samsara exploded instantly. Squat down. Before Konan and Yahiko could react, a huge force threw them away. A man wearing a mask and a black robe appeared. TSK, the legendary Samsara. I actually found it. The man looked at Nagato with a strange smile. Damn it. Nagato instantly realized that the other party came because of his eyes. Damn it. It happened when Mr. Jiraiya was not around. The man was very fast and came in front of Nagato, just about to take off the pair of Samsara eyes. The man's eyes flashed with greed. It's mine. Samsara eyes. Nagato's eyes rolled away, and he watched a pair of big hands reaching for his eyeballs. Who is it? With a loud roar, a kunai flew out and stabbed the hand in front of Nagato. Teacher Jiraiya. Yahiko and Konan shouted the name of the person happily. Jiraiya. The black-robed man looked at the person in surprise. No, this kind of chakra is not Jiraiya at all. The corners of the black-robed man's mouth rose slightly. Did you catch it? The black-robed man hurriedly retreated, and Jiraiya also chased after him. The two ran to a bridge one after the other. Jiraiya behind him suddenly said, Naoki, why did you hurt my disciple? Is it just because of the Samsara eyes? The black-robed man in front of him stopped decisively and lifted his mask, looking at Jiraiya in surprise. You actually know that I'm Naoki? Naoki was really shocked this time. He was sure that the Jiraiya in front of him was not the Jiraiya who agreed to act with him. It was very likely to be White Zetsu or Black Zetsu, or even Madara's real self. But how do they know who I am? Jiraiya secretly said in his heart that he was in trouble. He was the Z2 who came here to protect Nagato under Madara's order. Without Madara's surveillance here, it was natural that Black Zetsu's consciousness prevailed. He was very familiar with Naoki's chakra, so Zetsu didn't think about it and directly called out Naoki's name. Jiraiya looked at Naoki in front of him, and a drop of cold sweat dripped from his head. This is a bit difficult to deal with. Chapter 81 Black Zetsu's trick. But Black Zetsu is also a monster who has lived for thousands of years. An old Yunbi who can use Madara and Uchiha as chess pieces. After a brief thought, with a bang, Zetsu turned into a pitcher plant. Rope Tree secretly said that it was okay. If Madara came out with a bang, I would turn around and run now. The two began to stare at each other. Zetsu suddenly coughed. Of course I know who you are, Senju Rope Tree. Because I'm the messenger of God. Nonsense. You are obviously the son of God. Rope Tree's alarm bells rang at this time. From the moment Zetsu said his name, he knew that there was definitely something wrong. Now let's see if he can trick Zetsu into saying something. Rope Tree pondered his acting skills in his heart and showed a look of disbelief. Zetsu continued, the boy with the Rinnegan just now is called Uzumaki Nagato. He was born with the mission of saving the ninja world. Rope Tree shook his head. Impossible. The so-called samurai should be just a bloodline limit. According to what you said, if I take his samurai, won't I become a god? Zetsu continued to deceive. The power of the samurai is far beyond your imagination. Only the Son of Destiny can control it. That's right, not everyone is qualified to bear this pair of samurais. But coincidentally, Rope Tree, who has the blood of Thousand Hands and Uzumaki, just has this confidence. Rope Tree sneered and said arrogantly, then I will try today to see if I have this qualification. No matter what you are, get out of the way. Zetsu sighed, you are stubborn, and I will let you know what the power of God is next. Zetsu twisted and turned into two monsters with only half of the body. Black Zetsu and White Zetsu appeared. Rope Tree's right arm turned into branches and rolled towards White Zetsu. White Zetsu is a good thing. Take them back and let Orochimaru study it carefully. But at the moment when Rope Tree's right arm touched White Zetsu, Rope Tree's face suddenly changed. How is it possible? The branches that touched White Zetsu instantly turned into white spores. Rope Tree quickly disconnected his arm, his face gloomy. His wood release is useless against White Zetsu. He may even be assimilated by the other party. This is fatal. Rope Tree knew that White Zetsu was made using the cells of the first generation, but why did he have such great restraint on himself? Black Zetsu on the side unconsciously raised his mouth when he saw this scene. What is given to you is mine after all. Rope Tree's mind was a little lost at this moment. Since it was not White Zetsu's problem, it was his own problem. There was a problem with his wood release. Rope Tree never thought that he and Zetsu had such a terrible natural antagonism. The moment they came into contact just now, he felt that his wood release had lost control, and that part of the chakra completely became fertilizer for the growth of White Zetsu. And Black Zetsu took the opportunity to continue to deceive. Believe it now, any attack is useless against the great god. Rope Tree quickly came out of his absent-minded state. His mind was full of thoughts, but on the surface he looked shocked. Black Zetsu struck. While the iron was hot, God represents the doubts of heaven, and has come here. Those who go against God will eventually be destroyed. Only by obeying God can they be reborn. Black Zetsu's bewitching voice had a hint of illusion. If Rope Tree had not come to his senses just now, he might have been occupied by Black Zetsu. Rope Tree secretly bit the tip of his tongue to remind himself to stay awake, while observing his chakra fluctuations to prevent being hit by an illusion. Lord God. Black Zetsu smiled with a hint of success. Senju Rope Tree, dedicate yourself to the cause of God. You must understand the greatness and power of God. You go back to Konoha first, and one day God will need you. Rope Tree tried to stay awake. He smiled bitterly. Lord God, actually I coveted the samurai for a reason before. In Konoha, those high-level people were too bullying. I was obsessed with it, just to increase my strength and protect myself. Konoha. Black Zetsu immediately thought of the third generation Hokage who always smiled, and the gloomy Danzo. After decades of observation by Black Zetsu, those two people are indeed not good people. Black Zetsu's biggest chess piece now is naturally Madara, who is preparing to revive himself and intend to implement the Moon plan. But Rope Tree is also a good chess piece in his eyes. Apart from other things, the restraining property of wood release on the tailed beasts alone is enough to make Black Zetsu pay a little price. The face of White Zetsu beside him suddenly began to become distorted, and an iron rod slowly turned out from his body. This thing can help you to make your wood release go further, but you must remember that, even if your wood release becomes stronger, don't dream of challenging the authority of God. No. Rope Tree hurriedly said that he didn't dare, but reached out to take the iron rod. Even if Black Zetsu didn't say it, Rope Tree recognized that this was something on the outer path demon statue. In other words, this is a part of the body of the Ten Tails, a part of the God Tree. By the way, did Madara find out that Black Zetsu stole this thing? Holding the iron rod, Rope Tree felt that every cell in his body was celebrating happily. Good stuff. Rope Tree's eyes became hot. Rope Tree hurriedly thanked Black Zetsu. Black Zetsu naturally nodded with satisfaction when he saw Rope Tree's reaction. Don't tell others about the position of God anymore. Before God grows up, God doesn't want anyone to disturb him. I understand. At this time, Rope Tree was like an Avorish who picked up a gold brick, nodding happily. You should leave first. There are too many people paying attention to you. Don't show up for a short time. Okay, Lord God, I'll leave now. Rope Tree quickly disappeared, leaving Zetsu looking at the direction where Rope Tree disappeared with contempt. Haha, human. Zetsu returned to the three children and used illusion to change the memories of several people. There was no black robe man, and there was no Jiraiya who came behind. They have been practicing here. What Black Zetsu didn't see was, Rope Tree was smiling just now, but his face turned cold after turning around. Although he saw Zetsu, and confirmed that Madara was indeed protecting Nagato. As for White Zetsu, Rope Tree dared to use Zetsu's head to guarantee that they definitely left spores on him, and he could study them carefully when he returned. Zetsu even gave him a section of the God Tree, but the failure of wood release just now made him feel like he was in an ice cellar. Although he still had Hatake-style swordsmanship and fairy arts, wood release was undoubtedly his greatest reliance. Naoki remembered what Higasho said to him. A strong man has no weaknesses. Once he fights with Zetsu in the future, he will suddenly attack him, and his wood release will basically be ineffective, so he can kill him. I have to put the training of physical skills on the agenda when I go back. In addition, I must study clearly why wood release is ineffective, and whether this effect is for all wood release, including the first generation, or only for myself. If it is the former, at worst I won't use wood release when I meet Hakuzetsu in the future. If it is the latter, Naoki's scalp tingles. The consequences are disastrous. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 82 Action. Rope Tree turned around and rushed to Konoha and did not talk to Jiraiya again. Otherwise it would be bad if Zetsu noticed something unusual. Along the way, towns and villages in various parts of the Land of Fire gradually began to recover, and the happiness on people's faces could not be hidden. Everyone was celebrating the end of the war. Of course, what made them even happier was that Konoha won. The villagers who had won the First Ninja World War naturally knew that this meant that a large amount of war reparations would be remitted to Konoha. Even if most of the materials and money would flow to the ninja class or industries closely related to ninjas, it would still drive the development of various parts of the Land of Fire and make the Land of Fire move to a higher level. Although Rope Tree was also worried who would refuse the carnival of people walking out of the haze of war, so Rope Tree basically went to drink in one place. Well, it's fragrant to spend Tsunade's money. Rope Tree was squeezed into a tavern by the happy crowd again that day. Boss. 20 strings of lanterns, a bowl of ramen, another pot of wine. Rope Tree's generosity also made the boss smile. Sir, you've come to the right place. Our food and wine are all first-rate delicacies. Rope Tree laughed. Then I'll have to taste them. At this time, a few words came to Rope Tree's ears from the conversation between the two people next to him. Rope Tree glanced at the person who was talking. He looked like an ordinary villager, not strong but with solid muscles, and his face looked honest. But what he said was about ninjas, especially about himself. Have you heard? The war ended thanks to Lord Rope Tree. Lord Rope Tree. It's the legendary ninja, the grandson of the first Hokage Senju Rope Tree. Oh, what did he do? I heard that he killed the demigod Hanzo of the ninja world. That's really a hero. But it is said that this lord has a perverse personality and had a conflict with the Hokage's personal guards, so he killed them directly. It's so cruel. Their words were transmitted to Rope Tree's ears word for word. I killed the Hokage's shadow guards. Rope Tree felt puzzled. When did it happen? How come I don't know? After a long time, Naoki remembered that he seemed to have killed Konoha's ninjas. The 3 ninjas who kidnapped Kushina. One of them was called Sasuke, and he was killed as an example. But weren't they Uchiha Masakazu's men? Uchiha Masakazu was beaten to death by him. Besides, the wounds of those 3 people were treated by him, and there was no trace of wood escape at all. Not to mention that he had buried the entire crime scene. Sir, your ramen is ready. The boss interrupted Naoki's thinking and sent a bowl of ramen to Naoki. The boss didn't lie. The food here is really delicious, and the wine also has a faint fragrance. But Naoki's mind was in a mess at this time. While continuing to listen to the conversation of several people, he began to think, causing the delicious food to taste like chewing wax. Someone is doing something. Naoki's eyes showed a dangerous light. Konoha's high level. The guy who teamed up with Uchiha Masakazu. The other party started to take action. The next day, Naoki set out to continue heading towards Konoha. As expected, almost every place could hear about Naoki's glorious achievements and the news of harming his companions. For a time, Naoki's character of being powerful, arrogant was established. Naoki lost the mood to celebrate and rushed to Konoha with all his strength. Konoha. After Naoki was routinely checked by the Uchiha guarding the door, an Uchiha secretly slipped a note to Naoki. Naoki did not make a sound, but walked into the village with a calm expression and secretly opened it. Be careful. The only one who could use the Uchiha to send a message to him was Fugaku. However, the Uchiha was in trouble now, and Fugaku did not dare to help Naoki openly, but only gave a warning. As for who to be careful of, Naoki raised his head and looked at the 3 huge Hokage rocks. Naoki did not rush home, but bought a bouquet of flowers and went to Tsukumo's house. Unlike seeing Fugaku, this time he still had to order a formal gift. Tsukumo's home is even smaller than the one Naoki lives in. It is hard to imagine that this is the home of an Anbu chief. However, many potted plants placed in front of the windowsill are blooming thrivingly, as if foreshadowing the birth of a little life in the house. Naoki knocked on the door, and it was Tsukumo's wife who opened the door. Tsukumo was not at home. I heard that the Anbu had too much work. This guy. Straight man. Even Naoki secretly complained. He was either on the front line or working. It was really heartless to leave a pregnant woman at home. But Tsukumo's wife didn't care at all. Like Uchiha Mikoto, she was the kind of considerate wife and helped Tsukumo defend. After Naoki left the gift, he said goodbye politely. In fact, Naoki came to Tsukumo first to ask about the situation in the village. After all, Tsukumo was in charge of the Anbu, and he should be more clear about some things. But I don't know if it was a deliberate arrangement or a coincidence. Naoki didn't see Tsukumo after all, but only saw his wife and Kakashi in her belly. Rope Tree wandered around the street, trying to continue listening to some rumors. Rope Tree. Huh. Such a familiar voice. Rope Tree looked back at a genin in a green vest timidly pulling the corner of his divine robe. Kobayashi Asami. It was this girl who could always find him in the crowd. As one of the few girls that Rope Tree had met and even communicated with, Rope Tree could barely remember her face. After not seeing Kobayashi Asami for a few years, she seemed to have grown a lot taller and older. Well, a lot older. Kobayashi, long time no see. In fact, Rope Tree was also surprised. There were too many genin who died in the Second Ninja World War. Especially people like Kobayashi Asami. No background. No strength. No experience. 3 no ninja. They were basically cannon fodder, so how could this person be okay? Haha, Rope Tree-kun still remembers me. Welcome back. You have become the hero of the village now. Everyone says that the war ended thanks to Rope Tree-kun. Kobayashi Asami's smile was still so sincere, and her eyes were also curved. Naoki scratched his head. It's okay, mainly due to everyone's efforts. Kobayashi Asami was much bolder than before, pulling Naoki's divine robe. Naoki-kun, are you free? Do you want to eat something? I know a delicious ramen restaurant. Huh. The legendary girl's invitation? Ramen restaurant? The kind of Ichiraku? Naoki couldn't refuse, and he just needed a villager to explain something to him. Fortunately, it's not Ichiraku ramen. It seems that the famous restaurant has not opened yet. It's just an ordinary ramen restaurant. After Naoki ordered a bowl of tonkotsu ramen, he began to make indirect comments to Kobayashi Asami. Girls should be most familiar with gossip. Chapter 83 Public Opinion Offensive. Asami Kobayashi looked at Rope Tree with a smile and answered Rope Tree's questions one by one. During the conversation, Rope Tree roughly understood what happened. It turned out that an Anbu ninja reported that Rope Tree acted on his own during a mission and had a conflict with his companions. Rope Tree was confident of his amazing strength and did not listen to his companion's dissuasion, and the other 3 people could only follow Rope Tree. The mission failed in the end. In order not to be discovered by the village, Rope Tree attacked his 3 companions and pretended to be killed by the enemy. In this way, the fact that Rope Tree acted on his own and caused the failure of the mission would not be exposed. Rope Tree's face became ugly. Good story. Good script. But there is no evidence. There is only the confession of an Anbu ninja. But is it important? Rope Tree rose too fast and his halo was too heavy. Compared with a great ninja with a strong background and powerful strength, people prefer to see a stained ninja. People in this world don't like the existence of a saint, especially a living saint. The mastermind behind this matter is very smart. He saw that Rope Tree had no foundation in Konoha, that is, no mass base, so he naturally helped everyone to complete the image of Rope Tree in their minds. Just like the boy called Demon Fox in the future. One story, one protagonist, one image. No one would care how Rope Tree could carry out missions with the Anbu ninjas, and what missions he carried out. No one even cared who Rope Tree killed, what his name was, or whether he had a wife and children. It was enough for them to know that Rope Tree killed people. Rope Tree rubbed his temples a little tiredly, killing people and destroying their hearts. Rope Tree never thought that the other party would use such thundering means right from the start. He thought that this time, when he came back, the Konoha high-level officials would use a gentler method. Boiling a frog in warm water is the usual method of politicians. Rope Tree even planned to be the frog himself, provided that the other party did not disturb him. But now he is throwing himself into the frying pan. And now it has spread so widely. Tsunade, Orochimaru and Tsukumo will naturally not sit idly by, but the other party has obviously torn their faces in order to gain an advantage. Now, Rope Tree can either be carefree outside like Jiraiya, away from the circle of Konoha, or he can play out this scene in the other party's script and let the other party achieve his goal. But haha, aren't the Konoha high level afraid of turning the table? Although Rope Tree has no prestige among ordinary ninjas, he can pull Uchiha. At that time, lend Uchiha Shoichi's Mangeki to Fugaku, so that he can burst out with the strength of Cage. Susanoo Buddha can also be realized. The first generation and Madara joined forces to suppress an era. It seems that it is not too difficult to accept that he and Fugaku will join forces to change Konoha. Of course, Rope Tree will not play this chess unless it is absolutely necessary. After all, the Uchiha clan is a double-edged sword. Don't be careful to bury yourself. Rope Tree guessed that the other party should have a backhand. Since he has fallen into a passive position, the best way now is to wait and see. Isn't this Asami? Rope Tree was listening to Kobayashi Asami's words and was thinking about countermeasures when a crisp voice interrupted. It's Anita. A blonde girl greeted Kobayashi Asami from a distance. Kobayashi went forward to greet the other party and introduced her to Rope Tree. This is Yamanaka Haneda. Do you know her? Rope Tree looked at the other party. She was pretty, but also tall. He was talking about her height. Seeing that Rope Tree couldn't guess for a long time, Kobayashi covered his mouth and laughed. It's teacher Yamanaka. Haneda is teacher Yamanaka's daughter. Oh. Rope Tree then remembered his class teacher and guidance teacher when he was young Yamanaka Nami. Kobayashi also introduced Rope Tree to Yamanaka Haneda. But when Yamanaka Haneda heard Rope Tree's name, he exclaimed, Kobayashi, is he the legendary Senju Rope Tree? Good guy. Legendary. Rope Tree suddenly felt the power of public opinion and his image in the eyes of the villagers at this moment. Rope Tree also lost interest in eating. After getting up and paying the bill, he forced a smile to Yamanaka Haneda. Unexpectedly, Yamanaka Haneda was looked at by Rope Tree. His body also unconsciously hid behind Kobayashi. Seeing this, Rope Tree's smile froze, and he could only say goodbye hastily. Kobayashi looked at Yamanaka Haneda with some complaints. You are very rude. Yamanaka Haneda hurriedly bowed and apologized. I'm really sorry, Kobayashi-chan, but he is Rope Tree. Kobayashi was still dissatisfied and asked, didn't Yamanaka teacher mention Rope Tree? Yamanaka Haneda shook his head. Dad rarely mentions his students since he stopped being a teacher. And that was Rope Tree. Rumor has it that he killed his companions. Impossible. Kobayashi looked at Yamanaka Haneda angrily. Rope Tree-kun would never do such a thing. He is a righteous ninja. Yamana Kohaneda didn't expect Kobayashi's reaction to be so big, and it had attracted the attention of the people around him, so he quickly apologized. Okay, I know. Rope Tree Senpai would not do such a thing. Hey, did you order this? I'm welcome. Hokage building a dark room. A man with a bandage on his right eye and 2 wounds on his chin sat above, listening quietly to his subordinates' reports. Master Danzo, Kobayashi-Asami has been guided to meet Senju Naoki. Danzo nodded and closed his eyes habitually. People who knew him knew that he was thinking about some plan. Either don't do it, or do it to the extreme. Since Danzo seized this opportunity, he naturally planned to kill Naoki with one blow, not letting Naoki have another chance to jump. As a poisonous snake, Danzo knew very well that, if you don't kill the snake, you will be hurt by it. Although the plan was very perfect, there were always some loopholes. The loopholes were caused by his old friend. Tsunade and Naoki had a deep bond. It would be in Danzo's best interest to take this opportunity to solve Tsunade at the same time. But his old friend wanted to be a good person at this time and began to protect Tsunade and put her in the ninja hospital. Danzo naturally understood what Sarutobi Hiruzen meant. Danzo will be the villain. At least he won't let his former disciple turn against him. But Sarutobi, it's impossible for you to stay out of it. Danzo's eyes seemed to reflect the scene when the second Hokage Senju Tobirama chose Sarutobi Hiruzen as the third Hokage. Teacher, I want to prove that your choice is wrong. You have also been deceived by this monkey guy. I'm the most loyal executor of your will. Including that position, it will be mine sooner or later. In the dark room, there were whispers, and after a while, a masked ninja walked out of the room. His mask had only one hole. Shimura Danzo personally took action. Chapter 84, Thousand Hands Resurrection. Rope Tree wandered around the street board, and he heard a lot of rumors about himself. As the night deepened, the lights on the street went out one by one. Konoha village began to become empty and quiet, and Rope Tree returned home with a touch of moonlight. Rope Tree opened the door with the rusty key and soon became petrified. What the hell? Why are there so many beds on the floor in the spacious living room? Rope Tree looked at the beds on the floor and the many children on them with a confused look. Tsunade pawned the house again. This was Rope Tree's first reaction. At Rope Tree's feet, a fierce voice sounded. Who are you? Rope Tree looked down and saw a little lolly with black hair. Rope Tree squatted down helplessly. Of course this is my home. Shouldn't I be the one asking who you are? The little lolly looked at Rope Tree with suspicion. Impossible. This is obviously Sister Tsunade's house. Who are you? Get out. Huh? Sister Tsunade? At this moment, the sound of turning off the fire was heard in the kitchen. The kitchen door was pushed open, and it was Tsunade wearing an apron. Why aren't you sleeping so late? What are you arguing about? Hey, Naoki, you're back. Tsunade was a little surprised to see Naoki, but then she was happy. I just made some midnight snacks. Let's try it together. Well, Naoki has been deeply influenced by Tsunade's cooking skills since he was a child. Naoki bit the bullet and ate a mouthful of the black stuff and pointed to the beds around him. Sister, what are these? Tsunade winked at Naoki, and Naoki understood instantly and walked to the yard with Tsunade, avoiding a group of children. Tsunade's expression was a little gloomy. You know that I work in a hospital now. There are always wounded people on the battlefield who can't be saved. These are children who have lost their parents. Although Konoha has a lot of relief money now, I went to see the conditions of the welfare home once, and they were shockingly bad, so I'll let them live in first. Naoki was a little speechless after hearing this. The current Tsunade is not that Tsunade who later became disappointed with Konoha and the third generation. She still wants to contribute to Konoha. But this matter is a good thing. But with Tsunade's salary alone, it is not something that can be done for a long time. By the way, Tsunade's salary is still in her own hands. So where does she get the money? Rope Tree was about to speak, but she thought of it in an instant. Most likely it was borrowed from Orochimaru. Uncle Snake is really rich. Rope Tree sighed and returned Tsunade's letter to her. Sister, since you have decided to do it, treat them well. Tsunade did not refuse. After taking the letter, she whispered, Rope Tree, recently in the village. Rope Tree hummed lightly. I know that the other party is using an open conspiracy. Sister, you'd better not get involved, otherwise it will easily bring trouble to yourself. Tsunade was unhappy with this, and she twisted Rope Tree's ear. Smelly boy, I'm your sister. What do you mean by interfering? Your business is my business. Yes, it hurts. It hurts. Rope Tree played a trick to let Tsunade let go of her ear. Rubbing his red ears, Rope Tree looked at Tsunade with resentment. This woman was so reckless. However, Rope Tree was still unwilling to let Tsunade get involved. The fact that Tsunade could form a medical team and enter Konoha Hospital as the director showed that someone on the other side was protecting Tsunade. Rope Tree didn't need to drag Tsunade into the water. And if nothing unexpected happened, the other side was so determined that they would probably take action in the end. Rope Tree didn't want to embarrass Tsunade. Tsunade was just like when she was a child. Smiled slightly. She put her hand on Rope Tree's head and rubbed it. Don't worry, sister will accompany you through the difficulties. Looking at Tsunade's smile, Rope Tree suddenly felt creepy. He was too familiar with this smile. Sister, don't do stupid things. I have a way. Tsunade touched Rope Tree's forehead, still smiling. Don't worry, how could sister do stupid things? Rope Tree's breathing was a little short. Tsunade must be making trouble. Normal Tsunade is not like this. As the saying goes, the dog that bites people. Ugh. It is not scary to be angry Tsunade, but this squinting Tsunade makes Rope Tree feel a little scared. But Rope Tree also knows that in the current situation, the more you do, the more mistakes you will make. He has no foundation to compare with the Konoha executives who have been running Konoha for more than 10 years. If he wants to turn the tables, he can only try to seize the opponent's mistakes to counter the opponent. Rope Tree doesn't know what Tsunade's plan is, but he knows that once this silly woman goes crazy, it will definitely be earth-shattering. Rope Tree wanted to say something, but was kicked back into the house by Tsunade. I didn't touch your room, you little brat. Take a shower and go to bed. Rope Tree could only go back upstairs awkwardly under the gaze of a pair of bright big eyes. Rope Tree lay on the bed, but he tossed and turned and couldn't sleep at all. Tsunade is one of the few people he cares about in this world, and Rope Tree doesn't want her to be hurt. Coincidentally, Tsunade does the same to Rope Tree. You must keep an eye on this silly woman, otherwise she will definitely do something earth-shattering. After Tsunade watched Rope Tree go upstairs, her smile gradually disappeared. The eyes of the innocent children just now became extremely sharp, and they stood in a well-trained manner. Princess, Lord Naoki. The black-haired little girl who had just asked Naoki asked Tsunade in a low voice with deep eyes. Tsunade made a gesture to silence and carefully set up a barrier on this floor. Everyone reacted very well just now. Naoki should not have noticed. Tsunade praised everyone. All the children bowed together. For the princess, I will die. Tsunade looked at everyone with some sadness. I'm sorry to gather everyone again this time. Originally, everyone should continue to live a peaceful life. The black-haired little girl interrupted Tsunade's words. Princess, as members of the Senju clan, we have an obligation to protect the princess and the young master. Tsunade was a little speechless. These people are the Senju clan. The Senju clan did not disappear, but at the order of the second generation Hokage Senju Tobirama, they were integrated into the ordinary families of Konoha. However, Tsunade and Naoki's father, the son of the first Hokage, and the eldest son of the Senju clan, could not bear to see the Senju clan disappear in the long river of history. He seemingly disrupted and integrated some of the clansmen who were loyal to him into ordinary people, but in fact he still retained the method of contacting them. This power finally came into Tsunade's hands. She was actually unwilling to disturb these old people, and still hoped to let them be buried in the long river of history with the glory of the Senju according to the intention of the second grandfather. But this time the Konoha high-level officials were really bullying. Tsunade is not stupid, she can feel the murderous intent against Naoki this time. You can move me, but if you move Naoki, Tsunade doesn't mind resurrecting the Senju clan who have become undead. The big melon is finally here. The author of this plot has been ambushing for a long time. I don't know if you readers have noticed it. Senju clan, come to participate. Chapter 85 Assassination. When Tsunade first heard the news that Rope Tree had killed his companions, she just laughed it off. For her brother who she had been with day and night, she was confident that Rope Tree would never do such a thing. Until the end, it got worse and worse. She finally woke up. Someone was targeting Rope Tree. Tsunade tried to defend Rope Tree. But how could a sober person wake up countless people who were pretending to be asleep? Again, compared to a ninja's record, everyone is more willing to discuss his stains. The pressure of public opinion made Tsunade explode out of control many times, but it was of no avail. Tsunade was desperate. She knew that if this continued, Rope Tree would not be able to survive in the village at all. Not only that, Rope Tree would likely turn from a hero into a criminal. Even if the village finally came forward to explain that this matter was a misunderstanding, Rope Tree would still become a criminal suppressed in everyone's heart. This is the power of public opinion. At this time, the facts are not so important. When the word stabbed into Tsunade's heart like a knife again and again, Tsunade had gone crazy. The people she cherished were trampled on one by one, just like she was torn to pieces again and again. Tsunade finally used the forbidden power left to her by her father, the Senju clan. Tsunade used the lie of adopting war orphans to gather these members of the Senju clan together and keep them at home. As for the real war orphans, Tsunade had actually handed them over to Orochimaru a long time ago. After all, the two of them didn't seem to have much contact on the surface, but in fact, the private transactions can be described as shocking. Most of these Senju clan members have lived ordinary lives in these years. Farming, doing business, and even sweeping the streets. Some of them died, some disappeared, and in the end, only less than 100 people came back. Even so, this is still a powerful force. Among the 100 people, there are 8 senior ninjas alone, and this ratio is absolutely the best among the ninja giants. After all, they are the Senju, the former largest clan in the ninja world, and the Senju clan, that is rumored to have the blood of immortals. Tsunade looked at the tribesmen who had transformed into children in front of her, and whispered, "Now that Rope Tree has returned early, we must also act in advance. The person who targeted Rope Tree has been found out. It is one of Mito Kadoen, Uchiha Koharu and Shimura Danzo. Since they attacked Rope Tree, it is not our fault. I have listed their schedule. Next, implement the assassination plan." That's right, Tsunade never intended to reason calmly. As a woman, the simplest and crudest solution is to physically eliminate the opponent. The black-haired lolly turned back to her own appearance at this time. She was a woman about the same age as Tsunade. Her name was Kirara Senju Kirara. "Your Highness, Shimura Danzo is the strongest, so I will personally deal with Danzo." Tsunade's eyes were very calm, as if she was talking about what to eat for breakfast. Take action tomorrow night. Hey. After finishing her meal, Kobayashi Asami accompanied Yamanaka Haneda to her home. "Dad, Xiaolin and I have had dinner. By the way, I brought Xiaolin to visit." Yamanaka Haneda started shouting as soon as he entered the door. Yamanaka Naoki came out of the house with a pale face. "Got it, Haneda, you go back to the house first." Yamanaka Haneda looked at his father strangely. "I brought a friend here, or your former student. Don't you want to welcome him?" Yamanaka Haneda has always been a little princess at home. Seeing that her father ignored Xiaolin, she felt that she had lost face and was about to argue with her father angrily. Seeing this scene, Xiaolin hurriedly bowed sensibly. "I shouldn't have disturbed teacher Yamanaka without an appointment. Haneda, I'll go back first." "No." The father and daughter stopped Xiaolin in unison. Yamanaka Naoki made a seal to Xiaolin with an ugly face. Ninjutsu, heart-turning technique. Xiaolin's pupils contracted violently and soon became dull. Yamanaka Haneda was confused and was about to ask a question when he saw a figure behind him. Then, he felt a chill on the back of his head and lost consciousness. Yamanaka Naoki screamed and rushed over to hug his daughter who was about to fall to the ground. Behind Yamanaka Haneda was a ninja wearing a mask with only one hole. "Don't worry, she was just knocked unconscious." The masked ninja retracted his hand and no longer cared about the Yamanaka father and daughter. Instead, he came to Kobayashi Asami and looked at her carefully. "Yamanaka Naoki, go and carry out the mission. You owe me this." Yamanaka Naoki hugged his daughter tightly, but looked at his former student helplessly. "My lord, I'll take care of my daughter." "Yes." The masked ninja nodded and agreed, and then went outside. He took off the mask, and it was Danzo Shimura. Danzo looked at the full moon in the sky and laughed. "Force Naoki to leave. Sorry, he never wanted to do such a low-end thing. The betrayal of the teacher, the slander of childhood sweethearts, the accusations of the whole village. Rope tree, fall into darkness. This is your destination. For the third generation, forcing Rope tree to leave seems to be a good thing, but for Danzo it is not. Rope tree finally came back. How could he let this big fish slip away again? A living would release ninja. Both the scientific research value and the political value are too great. Rope tree is not stimulated enough now, and Danzo is still adding weight little by little. When Rope tree reaches a critical value, it will be the moment when Danzo closes the net. Tsunade, Orochimaru, and the third generation in this net will not be able to escape. This time, the third generation, who has been sitting on the fishing platform, obviously did not expect what kind of demon he released to deal with Rope tree. Rope tree thought for a moment on the bed and let out a sigh. Originally, he planned to wait and see, but Tsunade's reaction made him vaguely uneasy. It can't be dragged on. Naoshu knows his sister well. Once she really goes crazy, it will mess up the plans of too many people, including his own. If he wants to make this stagnant water alive again, it is up to him. Naoshu has decided to make a scene tomorrow. Didn't you make me a known person? As the focus of the whole village, it is too easy for Naoshu to attract attention now. Tomorrow, he will go directly to the Hokage building to protest his injustice. The bigger the better. Naoshu also saw that the third generation seemed to want to stay out of it by not making a statement. Haha. Impossible. Naoshu even planned to bring the tablets of the first and second generations to make a scene. Even if I end up being stinky, I have to take someone with me. Naoshu is now completely barefoot and not afraid of wearing shoes. Face is something that is important, but it is not important at all. That night, undercurrents surged. Chapter 86 Crying Street. The next day, Naoki's eyes were red and swollen. Instead of the familiar Konoha forehead protector on his forehead, there was a white cloth strip with the word miserable written on it. On his chest hung a black and white photo of the first Hokage. Behind him was a black and white photo of the second Hokage. He was also naked on the upper body. On it were written unjust in red pen in large and small sizes. Naoki walked down the stairs and bumped into Senju Kirura. Poof. Senju Kirura, who was drinking water, almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Brother Shao Naoki. What are you going to do? Naoki patted his face and tried to put himself into a desolate mood. Think about it. Think about Tsunade changing his diaper when he was a child. No. That's a shameful emotion. Desolate. Think about it carefully. Tsunade pawned the house. No, it's not desolate enough. What about Tsunade playing with his friends when he was on duty? Yes, this feels right. Naoki instantly had tears in his eyes and looked at Senju Kirura. I'm wronged. No one can stop me. I want the Hokage to make the decision for me. After saying that, she ran out crying. Senju Kirura was left alone in the wind. It must be said that Rope Tree's appearance is still very eye-catching. Especially Rope Tree was crying and saying, I'm so miserable. I, Senju Rope Tree, have made great contributions to the village on the front line. I was captured by the third Hokage and brought to the Sand Village. Do you know what he did to me? I'm so miserable. I killed the enemy leader. I'm also the village's Jonin. Someone actually slandered me for harming my companions. Oh. Grandpa. Second grandpa. I'm so miserable. Now there are only my sister and I in the Senju clan who depend on each other, and there are still people who want to slander me. Grandpa. Second grandpa. I'm so miserable. Grandson. I will not live anymore. Rope Tree didn't know when there were more white papers in his hands, and he cried and scattered them in front of the Hokage building. In order to achieve the desired effect, Naoki deliberately passed by several places with a large number of people, ninja schools, commercial streets, residential areas, and almost visited all of Konoha before finally arriving in front of the Hokage building. However, Naoki did not stay in front of the Hokage building for long, as his destination was the three huge Hokage rocks. More and more people followed Naoki, including the elderly, children, and even young ninjas. That man is Senju Naoki, the ninja who killed his companions in the legend? No way. Why do I feel that he is so miserable? Just when Noise was about to cry and climb onto the stone statue of the first Hokage, a figure appeared. Well, it was a hot man. Hatake Tsukumo looked at Noise with a smile. Noise, what are you doing? Unexpectedly, Noise took advantage of the situation and grabbed Hatake Tsukumo. Look everyone, this is the legendary Enbu chief. Fair and just, his word is law. Hatake Tsukumo. He can testify. I have been with him on the front line. If you don't believe me, just ask him. Tsukumo smiled bitterly. He naturally understood what Naoki meant, but he didn't expect Naoki to use such a throwing a tantrum method to cause trouble. Tsukumo was sent by the Sandaime, who had just turned livid, to stop Naoki. If Naoki really climbed onto the Hokage statue like this, would Konoha still have face? Everyone was caught off guard by Naoki's move. Those who participated in this game were all respectable people. Respectable people have to save face. Naoki's behavior was like sitting in a high-end western restaurant with his legs crossed and eating a bowl of chunking noodles. Very cool. And also unsolvable. At this time, the Sandaime and Danzo felt as uncomfortable as if they had eaten a fly. Tsukumo once again leaned close to Naoki's ear and whispered, Naoki, don't waste yourself like this. Go back quickly. There will be a reasonable explanation for these things. Naoki looked at Tsukumo speechlessly. It's already this point, and you still believe in the Konoha level. You still persuade me? No wonder you were forced to commit suicide in the end. Naoki actually misunderstood Tsukumo. Tsukumo really cared about him. Tsukumo and the three generations thought that Naoki would definitely be a big boss in the future. This means that Naoki must always pay attention to his image in all aspects, and even if he is slandered by rumors, he will not do anything excessive. In short, he has to be a good boy. But they all overlooked one thing. Naoki's goal has never been a Hokage. His goal is not to say that it is at the level of the stars and the sea, but at least it is better than a village in Konoha. What is face? Can it make you become a 4 emperor? Inexplicable. And if Tsunade hadn't been so creepy last night, Naoki wouldn't have done this. Naoki pushed Tsukumo away and insisted on climbing up the Hokage rock, crying from time to time. Tsukumo looked at Naoki in a dilemma. Could he knock this bastard out with one blow? Naoki, that's enough. Finally, the person Naoki had been waiting for showed up. It was the third Hokage in a white robe. The villagers around him saluted. Naoki rushed directly to the third Hokage and hugged his thigh. Master, I'm so wronged. Someone wants to harm me. It's all because my second grandfather died too early. Otherwise how could someone harm me? I'm so miserable. MMP. When it comes to the second Hokage, the third Hokage is a little embarrassed to speak. After all, the second Hokage sacrificed himself to cover the retreat of himself and others. The third Hokage began to reflect for the first time. Did he go too far? However, the third Hokage still smiled and helped Naoki up, or rather, he pried Naoki's hands apart. Naoshu, you are the grandson of the first generation, and you are also the hero of the village. How could anyone in Konoha harm you? Come on, stand up and talk. Naoshu cried even harder. Yes, I'm the hero of the village, and there are still people who wrong me. I have made contributions to the village. I have shed blood for the village. Naoshu secretly glanced at the third generation and found that his cheeks were trembling and he was obviously gritting his teeth, so he stopped. The play cannot be too much on the self-cultivation of actors. The third generation coughed and said, I don't know what happened, but there must be some misunderstanding. I will investigate it and give you an explanation. The third generation glanced at Naoshu with his eyes slanted. Also, take down the portraits of the first and second generations. After all, the dead are the greatest. Naoki refused to do it again. He looked at the third generation with tears in his eyes and said with sobs, no, didn't master say that there was a ninja from the Anbu who said he saw me killing my companions with his own eyes? Just call him out and confront him. The third generation looked at Naoki with a headache. You are really a piece of sticky candy. You can't get rid of it, no matter how you shake it. No need. A man with a bandage on his right eye walked out with a gloomy face. This fast should end. Chapter 87 Uncle Snake shows up. Danzo looked at Naoki with gnashing teeth. You don't follow the rules. Everyone is watching SpongeBob, and you actually want to watch Ultraman Tigger. Can't you just follow my script? After hearing about Naoki making trouble, Danzo hurriedly dropped what he was doing and rushed over. Naoki's feelings for Danzo are not as complicated as Naoki's feelings for the third generation. If I can use them, they are my own people. But if they are not under control, then this chess piece will be useless. Senju Naoki, stop acting. Do you dare to say that you didn't kill them? Danzo waved his hand, and 3 corpses that had long been rotten and looked like humans were carried up. The 3 of them were found by the Enbu ninja in a collapsed cave. All 3 died of suffocation, and there were obvious penetrating wounds on their bodies. The most important thing is that one of the dead is called Sasuke, and wooden spikes were nailed into his fingers. His limbs were nailed to the ground. There are obvious traces of wood escape on the body. The murderer is you. Not only did you brutally kill the Konoha ninjas, but now you are crying thief with the portraits of the first and second Hokage. I have never seen such a shameless person. Danzo seemed to be glowing with golden light at this time, and his righteous look could be called to inkinction. Danzo was actually very annoyed after finding the 3 bodies. It is true that the 3 people are indeed Uchiha's people. These 3 people have always been responsible for contacting him. But that day, killing the Kumogakure ninja was a serious matter after all, not to mention the information provided by Uchiha. So Danzo used some small tricks to implant trackers in the 3 people. In this way, even if Uchiha made a mistake and offended Kumogakure, Danzo would not be completely without a plan. Sure enough, something happened. However, it was not the Kumogakure that Danzo was worried about. It was the Uchiha side. Uchiha Masakazu actually died like that. This made Danzo, who had always been in close contact with Uchiha Masakazu and even provided support, very unhappy, so he sent people to find the 3 people. When Danzo's people arrived, there were only 3 bodies. So Danzo was very disappointed at the time, but these 3 bodies actually gave him a surprise. Danzo, who had been secretly studying the power of the first generation, was very familiar with wood release. When he saw the strange wounds and wood thorns, Danzo had a hunch. Sure enough, in the subsequent identification report, wood release ninja cells were actually detected on the 3 bodies. It was mentioned earlier that there is a difference between the cells of wood release ninjas and ordinary ninjas. Now there is basically only one suspect, Senju Naoki, the only known ninja who has awakened wood release. Although it is not clear what the relationship between Naoki and Uchiha Shoichi is, as a veteran scoundrel, Danzo immediately thought that there was something to be done about it. So there was this massive public opinion attack. Naoki saw Danzo moving out 3 corpses, and thought to himself, as expected, Danzo is a guy who is prepared before doing anything, and it is impossible for him to take advantage of loopholes. However, Naoki still wanted to test how detailed Danzo's preparations were. Naoki pointed to the 3 corpses that looked like no human beings. Lord Danzo, I have killed many enemies on the battlefield with wood release. You just moved 3 unrecognizable corpses and said they were from the Anbu? I said they were the Reikage, Tsuchikage, and Kazakage. Seeing that Naoki was still stubborn, Danzo smiled slightly. Every Enbu ninja has a unique mark. It just so happens that Tsukumo is here too. Why don't you ask him to check it? The 3rd generation also gave Tsukumo a look at this time. Tsukumo understood and looked through the 3 disgusting corpses. After a while, he stood up with an ugly face and whispered, the 3 of them do have Anbu marks, but that's it. Danzo interrupted Tsukumo and ignored him. No matter what the reason is, killing Anbu ninjas is a fact. Senju Naoki. Even if your last name is Senju, this is an unforgivable fault. At this time, the crowd of spectators around began to be swayed and began to follow suit. It's really him. He acted so well. The young man looks honest, but he actually did such a cunning thing. Alas, the first Hokage would be so angry if he knew about this. Naoki also laughed. Danzo, even if they are Anbu members, they were killed by someone using wood release. But what makes you say I killed them? Danzo was shocked by Naoki's stubbornness. Nonsense. Besides you, is there anyone else who can use wood release? Yes, besides Naoki, there are others who can use wood release. A hoarse voice came. Everyone looked back. Danzo's face changed drastically when he saw the newcomer. The 3rd generation's face was also livid. Orochimaru. This is none of your business. Danzo was a little panicked. Why did Orochimaru show up? Although he and Orochimaru were working on other projects, Orochimaru was different from others after all. Once he found those materials, Rope Tree looked at Orochimaru and smiled knowingly. Teacher, you are here after all. When Rope Tree just returned to the village, Rope Tree received a piece of information in addition to Uchiha Fugaku. Don't worry. This was the information Orochimaru gave him. This was also Rope Tree's confidence. He never fought alone. Fugaku, Tsunade, and Orochimaru all supported him behind the scenes. This was also the reason why Rope Tree was not panicked. He knew that, if the teacher took action, it was basically a sure thing. But Tsunade didn't know. Tsunade probably never thought that she would become a bad woman in Rope Tree's eyes. Orochimaru slowly walked in front of Rope Tree, put his hand on Rope Tree's head, and gave Rope Tree a reassuring look. Orochimaru, what did you say? The Sandaime couldn't keep silent anymore. Is there really a wood release ninja, and he doesn't know about it? Orochimaru took out a report and handed it to the Sandaime. Hokage-sama, I have seen traces of wood release in some places. There seems to be a group of people in the village who specialize in wood release. I accidentally got these data, which records in detail some people's cell transplant experiments, and the transplanted cells seem to be those of wood release ninja. The crowd around seemed to explode instantly. Someone is doing human experiments? Who is it? Who is so evil? Could it be Uchiha again? Uchiha, and Danzo-sama, you just said that the only wood release ninja now is Naoki, so these cells should be Naoki's, right? They can't be from the first Hokage, right? This is blasphemy, don't you think? Orochimaru's dark golden snake eyes stared at Danzo. You dare to touch my disciple, then don't blame me for being ruthless. Chapter 88, Failure of Danzo. The third generation flipped through the information in his hand. His hands were shaking. He was clear about some of the things that Danzo did, but the third generation thought that Danzo would be more restrained, but everything in front of him told him that he underestimated this old friend. Danzo looked at Orochimaru with one eye. He didn't understand. Once these things were exposed, he, Danzo, would fall into a big fall. But is Orochimaru's bottom clean? Just for a disciple? He wants to die with him? Danzo glanced at Naoki, Orochimaru and the third generation. Especially the big fire on the third generation's hat. The third generation is the Hokage. The actual controller of Konoha. Danzo took a deep breath and forced himself to calm down. Is there really someone doing this kind of thing? It seems that I was careless. Danzo could only bow his head. He finally understood that the master and disciple were both lawless. They turned over the table without caring whether they could stop the situation in the end. But Danzo couldn't. Danzo even had to take the initiative to clean up their asses. Because he was different from Orochimaru and Naoki. He has a lot of things behind him. If he loses them, he won't have a chance to come back. Hokage-sama, I will investigate this matter thoroughly. Danzo stood in front of the third Hokage and gave him a military order. Rope Tree sneered a few times. Investigate yourself. But Orochimaru seemed to have sensed Rope Tree's intention and quietly made a gesture to Rope Tree. This is enough. Don't go too far. Pulling the third Hokage into the water and making Danzo stop attacking Rope Tree has achieved the goal. If Danzo is really forced into a corner, the whole Konoha will be in turmoil, which will only benefit others. The third Hokage collected the information without leaving a trace. Then I'll leave it to you, Shimura. You have to give me a reasonable explanation within 3 days. And Tsukumo, mobilize the Enbu to investigate the wood release experiment. Seeing that Danzo bowed his head, the third Hokage went with the flow and gave his old friend a face. Otherwise, it would not be Danzo who gave him an explanation, but Tsukumo who directly confiscated his property. But the third Hokage specifically named Tsukumo and asked him to be responsible for the wood release experiment, which was also a warning to Danzo. This kind of experiment is not allowed to be conducted. Then, the third generation saw the troubled Rope Tree again. Rope Tree, don't worry, Konoha will not wrongly accuse a good person. I will definitely give you an explanation. The meaning is also very clear. This matter ends here. Don't entangle it anymore. The master will compensate you. Rope Tree naturally would not be ungrateful and directly took down the portraits of the two Hokages and looked at the third generation with a silly smile. Okay, listen to the master. Princess, this is roughly what happened. In the hospital office, Tsunade, wearing a doctor's uniform, was confused and listened to her spy reporting to her what had just happened. You mean Rope Tree cried on the street with the portraits of Grandpa and second Grandpa on his back? Yes. And then Danzo came out to cause trouble? Yes. Then Orochimaru came out to rescue. So now, everything is fine? Yes. Tsunade was confused. It was solved so happily? No need to kill anyone or anything? Then what have I been doing for so many days? Tsunade began to doubt her life. Princess, the young master wants to see you at the hospital in trance. What do you think? Let him in. Tsunade really had to ask Rope Tree some questions, otherwise she would always feel stupid. Soon, Rope Tree came to Tsunade's office. Hiss. It must be said that the doctor's uniform looks good on Tsunade. Rope Tree was slightly surprised and then looked away. No matter how beautiful a sister is, she is as beautiful as a flower in the eyes of her brother. Tsunade started asking about what happened today, and Rope Tree told her everything, which was basically the same as what Tsunade had heard. But there was one thing that made Tsunade a little embarrassed. Are you saying that you suddenly did this because of me? What else? Rope Tree looked at Tsunade with disdain. By the way, sister, if this matter is not resolved, what are you going to do? You are not going to assassinate someone, right? Had her Rope Tree's cheesing stopped abruptly, because Tsunade actually gave him a positive response just now. Stop it. Are you really so reckless? But now that things have come to this, Tsunade has nothing to hide and told Noise about the revival of the Senju clan. Oh my god. Noise really didn't expect Tsunade to have this trump card. Why didn't Tsunade use it in the original work? Noise realized what kind of decision Tsunade made for herself. In the original work, Tsunade experienced the death of her brother and lover in battle, and she should have been disheartened. So in the face of the exclusion of the top leaders, Tsunade left without saying a word. And once it involves herself, Tsunade directly turns into a lioness protecting her cubs, vowing to fight to the death. Noe suddenly felt warm in his heart, and at the same time, felt that Tsunade was stupid. You said earlier that the Senju clan still has such a powerful force. If you had said it earlier, I wouldn't cry on the street. Wouldn't it be nice to take this group of people with you to open up a small ninja village? But now it is obviously not necessary. And since they have been summoned, they will definitely not be able to pretend that nothing happened and return to their original peaceful life. Noe secretly calculated in his heart. I think I know what compensation I should ask for from the third generation. 3 days later, as expected, the case was solved. Several ninjas who were usually sneaky were dragged out, and several of them admitted that they were secretly conducting inhumane experiments and wanted to frame the crime on Rope Tree. The third generation also sentenced several people to death in front of the whole village, which made the villagers applaud. But Rope Tree didn't go to the scene at all. Anyone with a discerning eye knew that those guys were probably here to take the blame. But some things still need some fig leaves, not for yourself, but for others. Hokage's officer sat face to face. Danzo, this time it's past. The third generation looked at his old friend in front of him and felt that he didn't know him anymore. I guess Danzo thought so in his heart. The third generation stood up and pulled open a curtain that blocked his view. A figure rolled out. There were black blood pits in the man's eye sockets. Of course, the most eye-catching thing was the bird in a cage mark on his forehead. The Hyuga branch. Hyuga Haku. Danzo recognized the nail he had planted in the Enbu at a glance. Ugh. Hyuga Haku's Byakugan had long disappeared at this time, and it seemed that his tongue had been pulled out, and his limbs were broken. He was completely a useless person. Puff. In Danzo's shocked eyes, the Sane took out a kunai and cut a wound on Hyuga Haku's neck. It was hard to believe that the person in front of him was the always gentle Sande. The Sande silently watched Hyuga Haku struggle to death in front of him. You should know this man. The Hyuga clan handed him over to me after crippling him. The Sande stared at Danzo. His eyes were no longer as gentle as usual, but were filled with bloodthirstiness and tyranny. I hope there won't be a next time. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 89, Konoha Research Department. Danzo's hands and feet went cold. The beastly eyes made him never imagine that this was his old friend who balanced the doctrine of the mean. Danzo knew that this was because the third generation felt threatened or threat from deceiving him. Danzo did not dare to look at the third generation and silently lowered his head. Got it. Danzo was never the only one who was corrupted by power. Establish a scientific research department? Orochimaru licked his tongue excitedly. This seemed to interest him very much. That's right. Rope Tree found Orochimaru at this time and was discussing the plan with him. Since the third generation asked Tsukumo to investigate Danzo's secret experiment, it is inevitable that his scientific researches and equipment will be exposed. These are all treasures. Rope Tree became excited. It is said that Orochimaru is the greatest scientist in the ninja world. Then Danzo can be said to have the largest scientific research team. After all, Danzo is the only ninja besides Madara who can stably control the cells of the first generation. Although the arm inlaid with Sharingan in the future looks disgusting, it is definitely the crystallization of technology. Orochimaru thought about it, and it seemed to make sense. Besides, the third Hokage probably wasn't that confident in Danzo now, so he would have to split up the many forces under Danzo. There shouldn't be much resistance from the third Hokage. The equipment can be left behind, but the people are not necessary. I'm worried. Orochimaru didn't have a good impression of those people under Danzo. He was prepared for the worst. If there was any result, and it was leaked, Orochimaru would probably jump up and kill people. Okay. Actually, Rope Tree still coveted those research dogs very much. As for loyalty, Rope Tree tilted his head and looked at Orochimaru. The brainwashing skill of Orochimaru was second only to Naruto's mouth-to-mouth skill. What's there to be afraid of? Of course, the current Orochimaru probably didn't realize how charming he was. Okay, but teacher, I might have to send some people to the research department. Orochimaru frowned slightly. He was planning to take the back door before the opening. How could I lead the team? But when Rope Tree said that he was actually a member of the Senju clan, Orochimaru was wet. Are there any Senju tribe members alive? Orochimaru's eyes were like he had obtained a batch of top quality test subjects, revealing a strange luster. Naruto hurriedly said vigilantly, "They are all my sister's people. Don't mess around, otherwise my sister will beat us to death." Orochimaru licked his tongue. Don't worry, I understand. I didn't say what to do to them. Doing experiments requires a lot of experimental data. Even if you have samples of awakened would release, it is still not enough. The data is too single. Orochimaru said so, and Naruto could only nod. Also, the establishment of a department must cost a lot of money. The village's annual income is only that much, which is also a problem. Naruto immediately took over the conversation. Teacher, don't worry about this. There are suckers willing to pay for it. Orochimaru looked at Naruto strangely. However, he was no longer surprised by some of this disciple's behaviors. Naruto came to Fugaku's house as a guest again. The difference from the last time was that although Fugaku still looked very tired, at least there was light in his eyes. You actually reversed the situation this time in this way. Awesome. Fugaku was shocked by Noace's tricks. At least he thought he would never do something like wearing Madara's portrait to mourn. Alas, it's all thanks to my teacher and sister. Don't mention it. Your sister? Fugaku looked at Noace suspiciously. Noace quickly changed the subject. I'm trying to get you to do a big deal this time. Do you want to do it? Big deal? Fugaku was still very welcome to Noace's visit. After all, he directly dealt with Uchiha Shoichi and others last time. What are you going to do? Noace knocked on the table with his hand. I guarantee that it's a sure win deal. That is, investing in the research department. Research department? Yes, teacher Orochimaru and I are planning to set it up. Fugaku was refreshed. Although it looked like an empty shell, with Orochimaru and Noace there, no matter how hard it was, at least he could make a good relationship. As the saying goes, the most expensive thing is always free. If you can buy it with money, it doesn't matter. This is especially true for the Uchiha clan. The wealth accumulated since the Warring States period can definitely blind the eyes of everyone in the world. The rise of Konoha is inseparable from the huge family property of the Senju clan. The Uchiha clan, who are as famous as the Senju clan, are also not bad. Not to mention a research department. They can even build another Konoha. How much of the shares can we Uchiha have in this research department? Naoki wanted to spray Fugaku to death with a mouthful of salt soda. How much of the shares? You opened a store? Naoki looked at Fugaku with contempt. Shares? You are dreaming. No. Fugaku sneered. It seems that you got something for nothing. Naoki slammed the table. Are you stupid? That's the research department. What is research? It is the primary productive force. It is the hope of the village. What does the hope of the village have to do with me, the Uchiha? No, I pay, but we want all the results of the research department. Do you want to fight? The two of them confronted each other for a long time, and even the tea was cold. Don't try. What can I get? Fugaku is now a qualified clan leader. The kind and simple little Fugaku will never come back. The research department cannot be a traitor. Don't even think about it. If you mess up the research department, my teacher will definitely not forgive you. Besides, you know the current situation of Uchiha. Wouldn't it be better to gain more favor in front of the Hokage? Fugaku sighed. Okay, for the sake of friendship, I will do you this favor. How much do you want? 1 billion, every year. Get lost. Fugaku was so angry that his Sharingan opened. 1 billion? Every year? What are you thinking? This is almost half of Uchiha's annual turnover. Will Uchiha survive if I give it to you? Fugaku felt that Naoki was here to make trouble. Don't be impatient, listen to me. First of all, there are only so many Uchiha people who wouldn't hate you for making so much money. Aren't you afraid that someone will get jealous and wipe you out? Fugaku looked at Noise with a look of a fool. Who can wipe out the Uchiha? Of course, Noise would not tell Fugaku that decades later, your eldest son slaughtered the Uchiha clan, and the wealth accumulated by the Uchiha for thousands of years was taken away by the third generation. Secondly, the pair of eyes I tuck away. Fugaku's breathing became rapid. The secret of the main Gekio. I guess it's what you Uchiha have always wanted to pursue? I just found something. Noise showed a sly smile. How about it? Do you want to exchange? Chapter 90 Konoha Research Department is established. Unexpectedly, Fugaku shook his head. Not enough. Now it was Naoki's turn to be dumbfounded. That's the main Gekio. The ultimate power of Uchiha. Wait, Naoki came to Fugaku and carefully observed his eyes. Fugaku felt a little guilty when he was looked at and quickly avoided Naoki's comments. I say, you can't open the main Gekio, right? Let me think. The only stimulus you have recently received is the death of your father, right? That's not right. Isn't it a major stimulus to open the main Gekio? Your father should have died with a smile on his face, right? Go away. Not true. If I can open the main Gekio, can I still be a grandson? I would have gone to settle accounts with Danzo a long time ago. That's not necessarily true. Compared to the second pillar who dared to challenge the 5Kage after awakening the main Gekio, Fugaku's low keenness was simply scary. Even his own son didn't know that he opened the main Gekio. Naoki continued to look at Fugaku with a suspicious look. Fugaku felt a little scared when he was looked at. Tell me first what secrets you found about the main Gekio? Seeing Fugaku start to change the subject, Naoki slowly got the idea in his heart. I thought you were an upright Uchiha, different from others, but I didn't expect you to be such a sly person. Even if Fugaku didn't open the main Gekio, his pupil power must have made great progress, otherwise he wouldn't be so indifferent to the main Gekio. Okay, then I'll tell you first, using the main Gekio too much will cause blindness. Fugaku's hand holding the teacup shook unnaturally, which was naturally seen by Naoki. Are you afraid? Cooperate with us. Maybe we can work out a solution. Then you can keep your main Gekio. Fugaku looked at Naoki helplessly. I didn't open it. Anyway, just never admit it. Fugaku pondered for a moment. 100 million at most. If it's more, the clan won't agree. Pretending? Rope Tree knew that Fugaku had killed Uchiha Shoichi and was in power, not to mention that he might have opened the manger key. He was now the one who had the final say in Uchiha. 200 million. No more. Fugaku finally compromised, but Rope Tree was still not satisfied. 500 million. You Uchiha people can also enter the research department. Fugaku's eyes lit up. But I have to choose the candidates. Rope Tree decisively put an end to some unrealistic ideas in Fugaku's mind. Fugaku didn't care who would go. Would the Uchiha people betray the Uchiha? If there was such a fool, I would be his son. Fugaku's squinting eyes suddenly appeared. Deal. While Rope Tree was looking for a scapegoat, Orochimaru was also doing the work of the third generation. The research department. The third generation took a deep puff of his pipe and fell into deep thought. The third generation was not a fool. He could also feel the importance of research work, and letting one person do it really made the third generation uneasy. But once the scientific research department is established, many things can be transparent. At least the third generation will not be afraid of someone hiding things from him. It is indeed necessary to establish a scientific research department, but the cost. Sure enough, the third generation is very shrewd, and he is obviously trying to pull interests again, to give himself some room for operation. I have a way to pay for the cost. Although there is no news from Rope Tree, Orochimaru decisively chooses to trust his disciple. The third generation looked at Orochimaru with a little suspicion. The scientific research department. Just think about it, and you will know that the money burned will definitely be an astronomical figure. Where does Orochimaru get the money? Just relying on his bonus is completely a drop in the bucket. However, the third generation's current priority is to decompose Danzo's roots, and other things are just details. Besides, isn't it nice to have someone pay for it? As for mixing sand in it, for the Hokage, it is too simple. After all, this is still Konoha. With the approval of the third generation, things will be very simple. Uchiha is completely a dog-rich man. Fugaku directly gave Rope Tree 1 billion, saying that it is 2 years' money. Bah. Didn't you say this was the half-year turnover of the Uchiha clan? How could you take it out just like that? Naoki immediately regretted it. It would have been too little. The wealth of such a super wealthy family is a figure that ordinary people dare not even think about. The license is in place. The funds are in place. Now all we need is people. Naoki did not arrange the Senju clan in first, but cried to the Tsunade for people. The Tsunade certainly accepted anyone who came for such a thing, but when he saw the list Naoki handed him, he was confused. Nerishikaku, Yamanaka Inoichi, Akimichi Choza, Aburame Shiwei. A long list of names of wealthy ninjas simply blinded the titanium eyes of the third generation. Good fellow. Are you going to destroy Konoha? The third generation rejected it directly. After that, Naoki submitted another list. There were fewer people than the last time, but it was still difficult to satisfy the third generation. Good fellow. How dare you think about Hyuga Hayashi? The direct descendants of the Hyuga family don't even have Mianbu. The main family is the lifeblood of the Hyuga clan. Not surprisingly, it was rejected for the second time. Naoki also persevered in submitting the third list. This one is much more normal. Even if there are disciples from wealthy families, most of them are from the side branches, which is easy to handle. In addition, there are some civilian ninjas. Namake's Minato, Michael Day. The Sandaime still had some impression of Minato. After all, he rescued Kushina and chose the extremely difficult space-time ninjutsu Flying Thunder God Jutsu. His future achievements are limitless. As for Michael Day, the Sandaime had no impression of him at all. After sending people to investigate, they found out that he was a very poor ninja, and apart from being willing to help others, he had no major strengths. However, the Sandaime also knew that the first two names were simply funny, and the people above were the ones that Naoki really wanted. Okay, by the way, let the Anbu write down these people and investigate them. Just like that, the two confused young genin joined the newly established research department in a daze. The subsequent appointments were also made quickly. Orochimaru served as the director of the research department. Naoki was the only deputy director. There was no need for the third generation to interfere now. After all, no one could say what this department would become in the end. If Orochimaru and Naoki could really make the research department bigger and stronger, wouldn't it be nice to pick peaches at that time? Naoki looked at the list in his hand happily. In fact, the other people were basically selected by Orochimaru. There were only 3 people that Naoki really wanted: Minato Namikaze, Michael Day, and the Moonlight Clan's Gekko Hayate. Not to mention Minato, the 4th generation Hokage. Michael Day kicked the 7 ninja swordsmen into the 3 lucky treasures. As for Gekko Hayate, Naoki simply wanted to take care of his old friend Gekko Shizuka in the Sand Village battlefield. Besides, this guy's not bad in talent, otherwise he would not have grown into Konoha's gatekeeper in the future. Naoki smiled. Konoha's research department was established. Chapter 91 Rasengan. The people on the list were soon notified to gather in an open space. The group was basically confused. Research department? What is that? Aren't we ninjas? We want to talk about the will of fire. You actually want us to do science? A guy with thick eyebrows, hippie beard, and green training clothes looked around, and his eyes met a pair of equally confused blue eyes. Minato? You were also selected? Yeah, Minato was a little confused. Because of the rope tree. After killing the salamander Hanzo, it was basically some disciples of wealthy families who went to the battlefield to stroll around and gild themselves. Civilian ninjas like Minato had no chance to be baptized by war. So after graduation, he had tasks like helping Kihua next door find a cat and helping Aunt Wang on another street buy vegetables. That's why he and Michael Day had some intersections and got to know each other. It was a bit boring, but with Kushina's company, it seemed not bad. But now that the two of them had just shown some signs, Minato was transferred in. You can imagine how depressed Minato was. As for Mike Day, it was even more puzzling. Scientific research. It sounded like something very high-end. He was just a rough guy. He was okay at moving bricks, the kind on the construction site. He couldn't handle literary work at all. Some other disciples of wealthy families didn't care. For them, it didn't matter where they were. Anyway, the war was over, and it might be good to come here and do something. At this time, Orochimaru and Naoki also appeared. Both of them were wearing white coats, and they looked a little academic. Orochimaru looked at everyone, and his signature hoarse voice sounded again. Many of you may not know what the scientific research department does, but it doesn't matter. In the days to come, just do whatever I tell you to do. In fact, scientific research still requires the collision of wisdom, but the scientific research level of these guys or the ninjas in the entire ninja world is at the level of rookies. So Orochimaru didn't want these guys to do something weird in the early stage. Everyone had no objection to what Orochimaru said. After all, the mission of a ninja is to obey, no matter where you go. In addition, there is also a hierarchy in the research department. There are now 3 job titles: Junior Researcher, Intermediate Researcher, and Senior Researcher. Each job title will be selected based on your achievements. Among them, Senior Researchers can be promoted to Special Jonin. Hiss, everyone present took a breath of cold air. Special Jonin. Even if Special Jonin is not as valuable as normal Jonin, it is still a Jonin. This is the dream of many people. This group of wealthy side branches and some civilian ninjas are all ninjas with poor talents. Chunin is usually their limit. And now they have the opportunity to get the position of Special Jonin. This is simply unimaginable for them. This is of course what Orochimaru fought for from the 3rd generation. It is definitely not that easy to be a senior researcher. After all, the more you study, the more familiar you must be with the use of chakra. This means that you must be more precise in controlling chakra. Basically, the ninja who reaches that level will not be too bad in strength. If they are not Jonin, they are almost there, just like the future Yakashika Buto. Although he had not fought many times, his fighting power was rising like a rocket. So the promotion of this senior researcher to a Special Jonin was useless. Of course, there must be some scientific ninjas who do not study ninjutsu, such as Mike Day. But I believe that no ninja village would be stingy with a mere Jonin title to the genius who created the 8 gates. Orochimaru then said a few more words about the regulations of the research department and announced its dissolution. There is no way The research department does not even have an office space now. This vacant land is the site of the future research department. After all, no matter how rich you are, some things cannot be rushed. The transportation of instruments and the construction of laboratories all take time. But Naoki quietly called Minato and Mike Day. Mike Day was a little nervous. After all, he was still a little uncomfortable facing a big shot like Naoki. Meet the deputy director, Lord Naoki. Okay, let's not do these empty things. Naoki patted Mike Day's shoulder. I know you actually have some doubts in your heart, but I have been moved by you, since I heard about your deeds. Mike Day suddenly widened his eyes. A tear appeared in the corner of his eyes. Is what Lord Shengshu said? Mike Day choked a little. Is it the passionate youth? Shengshu nodded affirmatively. Anyone with faith is powerful and worthy of respect. So when I set up the research department, I first thought of you, Mike Day. Any time, any place, needs people with faith like you. Mike Day suddenly began to burst into tears. Damn. Is this the legendary recognition? The respected Lord Shengshu actually recognized my youth. Mike Day was like Boyle meeting Zanzuki. The Joker met Batman. Tom met Grey Wolf. Mike Day. Come on. Your passionate youth will one day turn into a raging fire that changes the world. Lord Shengshu. Mike Day could no longer control himself at this time. Lord Shengshu, don't worry. I will work hard. Thank you for your recognition. Shengshu gave Mike Day an encouraging look again. Burn. Passionate youth. Hi-yi. Mike Day left with a head-heavy feeling. He was going to tell his wife, the baby in her belly, and everyone that someone recognized his youth. Rope Tree then looked at Minato with a smile. And Minato was relieved. Senior Rope Tree, do you still remember me? Of course. Rope Tree continued to ravage the golden hair of Little Sun with a smile. What do you think of Mike Day just now? Minato pondered for a moment and said, I met him during a mission. He is a very motivated and trustworthy partner. Rope Tree nodded, but Minato said again, he is just a little bit second year. Good guy. You are not ashamed to say that others are second year? How dare a guy who can take out a name like Scorch Release, Light Wind Black Arrow Zero say that others are second year? Rope Tree shook his head and changed the subject. Are you surprised that you were transferred to the research department? Minato smiled brittlely and nodded. A little bit. Rope Tree smiled mysteriously at him. Don't worry, the research department will never treat you unfairly. By the way, I have something to teach you. Something? Minato looked puzzled. A light blue chakra ball gradually appeared in Naoki's hand, and a cool breeze began to dance in his hand. I want to teach you a ninjutsu. It's called Rasengan. Naoki smiled cunningly. Huh? Didn't you notice what I did? So can I not use the ruin tomorrow? Chapter 92 missing. As the only ninjutsu in the world of Naruto that tells about the training method and runs through the whole play, how could Rope Tree not get a free pass? When practicing the Sage Mode in the Wet Bone Forest, Rope Tree also rolled balls while practicing Wood Release. Although Rope Tree does not have Wind Attribute Chakra, he can still roll balls. As for why not use it in battle, rolling balls is not as fun as shouting for it to come. Besides, if it comes to close combat, isn't Hatake style swordsmanship good? Minato was in shock at this time. Senior Rope Tree, is this a non-seal ninjutsu? Minato understood the importance of this ninjutsu to him. Since he started practicing the Flying Thunder God technique, he found a very embarrassing problem. Even if he can fly to the enemy, he can only attack with a kunai or a weapon. And once he has this Rasengan, but it's a non-seal ninjutsu. And the power that burst out from that ball of chakra is not a ninjutsu with low lethality. This is about to take off. What's more, I don't know why. The name of Rasengan sounds very coquettish, which is exactly what Minato likes. From the name to the convenience of this technique, it is tailor-made for him. Minato looked at Noise with a lewd smile on his face. Senior Noise, are you really going to teach me this ninjutsu? Of course. It's better to pair the meatball with Flying Thunder God. The most important thing is, in Minato's admiring eyes, Noise finally enjoyed the pleasure of getting something for free. What's the point of showing off to others? Of course, you have to show off in front of the founder. After dispersing the Rasengan in his hand, Noise rubbed Minato's hair reluctantly. Do a good job. You can come to me to practice after I finish some things. Thank you, Senior Noace. Haha, go ahead. Being helpful is just a little bit of my perfect personality. In any case, Minato still thanked Noace from the bottom of his heart. A special unprinted ninjutsu. This is not a small gift. As for the conspiracy, Minato couldn't think of anything else that was worth being coveted by others besides this person. Master Naoki, please help us. We really have no other choice now. Naoki returned home, only to find a middle-aged couple kneeling at the door. When the two saw Naoki, they quickly crawled in front of Naoki. You two, hurry up, what happened? The father grabbed Naoki's hand and said, we are Kobayashi Asami's parents. Asami hasn't been home for 3 days. We have searched everywhere but haven't found her. I heard that Asami was eating with Master Naoki last, so we are here to trouble Master Naoki. 3 days. Naoki thought about it, which means that Kobayashi Asami has not returned home since she met him, but Naoki remembered that he left first that day. After that, Kobayashi Asami seemed to be with Mr. Yamanaka's daughter, Yamanaka Haneda, right? After Naoki explained the situation that day to the Kobayashi couple, the Kobayashi couple became even more terrified. Master Naoki, you don't know that we actually searched all the homes of Kobayashi's friends and classmates. Everyone else is there, only the Yamanaka family is missing. Missing? Naoki also frowned. Yamanaka Nami is from a wealthy family like the Yamanaka clan. Their inexplicable disappearance is no small matter. Don't worry, I'll go to the Yamanaka family to ask about the situation. The Kobayashi couple was overjoyed. Naoki's status is completely different from Th's. Some things they do, and Naoki's do, are completely different effects. Whether it is Kobayashi Asami or teacher Yamanaka Nami, they are the few acquaintances of Naoki in Konoha, and it is impossible for Naoki to ignore them. Naoki soon came to the wealthy area of Konoha. The Yamanaka clan and their longtime allies, the Nera clan and the Akimichi clan, are all very low-key, which can be seen from their not so lofty goals. These three clans are masters of self-preservation, low-key, not making trouble, but not eating for nothing, and will work hard for Konoha. In politics, they always support the Hokage. Whoever is the Hokage supports whomever. This makes them in a similar position of leader among the wealthy families. Don't get me wrong, it's not that Uchiha and Hyuga are not strong. It's because they are too strong that other wealthy families are unwilling to get involved with them and ask for trouble. Sheep can protect themselves when they gather together, but if a sheep comes to the wolf's den to avoid the lion, it's a brain what? The news that Naoshu came to the Yamanaka clan soon reached the ears of the current head of the Yamanaka clan. Isn't Senju Naoshu busy setting up a scientific research department? What does he want to do with our Yamanaka clan? For the Loki pig, deer, and butterfly three families, what they least want is to be associated with the power struggle. And Naoshu is undoubtedly the center of the storm, so the three families actually don't want to have too many intersections with the current Naoshu from the bottom of their hearts. But Naoshu has come, it's impossible to turn him away, and the Yamanaka clan still solemnly welcomes Naoshu in. After all, wealthy families have their own rules. Even if Naoshu is only one person at this time, he now represents the Senju clan, the former largest clan of Konoha. This is the respect and awe of the Yamanaka clan for the order of the rich. What made the Yamanaka clan relieved was that Naoki had nothing else to do, just for a member of their own side branch. The Yamanaka clan was still happy to help, and soon got some information. Kobayashi Asami and Yamanaka Haneda went back to the Yamanaka family together, but disappeared that night. Someone attacked Yamanaka teacher and Kobayashi Asami. It is not something that ordinary people can do to dare to attack a rich child in Konoha, even if it is a rich child from the side branch. What's more, it was carried out quietly. Danzo. Naoki gritted his teeth. The Yamanaka clan also had a gloomy face. In fact, the side branch children of the rich, except for the Uchiha clan, are not valued. But I can ignore them, but others can't. Well, this is the double standard from the rich. But the Yamanaka clan is not stupid. The disappearance of Yamanaka Naoki is definitely related to Naoki, and there is no need for them to stand out and be a target. Of course, Naoki didn't think about helping the Yamanaka clan. Naoki had already experienced the nature of this group of wealthy families. They just accepted what was given to them, kept themselves safe, did more and made more mistakes, and did less and made fewer mistakes. It was simply a fantasy to expect them to do things, not to mention going head on with Konoha's number 2 figure. Don't worry, I will bring back Mr. Yamanaka and Krillin. Naoki guaranteed both sides. After all, Naoki guessed that the disappearance of the two was probably related to himself. But Naoki certainly wouldn't be stupid enough to look for Danzo, but came to the Anbu to find Hatake Tsukumo. Where is Danzo and their secret base? Chapter 93, Rage. What? What secret base? Tsukumo was a little evasive, waving his hands unnaturally, his eyes wandering, and most importantly, he was frowning. Naoki looked at Tsukumo. Danzo must have other secret bases. The laboratory he asked you to search now, and the root building, are all external covers. Where is the real base of the root? Tsukumo was helpless when he saw Naoki's confident face, so he had to admit it. Naoki, this should be considered a top secret of the village. I really can't tell you. I want to save people. Naoki told Tsukumo about Kobayashi Asami and Yamanaka Nami's family. Tsukumo frowned and thought for a while. No, I still can't tell you. I have to report to the Hokage. Damn you. Naoki has experienced Tsukumo's stubbornness. No matter how good his friends are, this guy will never make any compromises in official matters. There was no way. Naoki had to wait for Tsukumo and the Sandai to negotiate. Did Danzo attack civilians? The Sandai's eyes were a little scary. Is it Naoki who came to you alone? No one from the Yamanaka clan? Sandai suddenly asked. Yes, Sandai-sama, it's only Naoki. Sandai's fingers tapped the table rhythmically. The location of the root cannot be exposed yet. I will negotiate with Danzo. You go and appease Naoki. Since the Yamanaka clan did not show up, Sandai probably knew what these powerful families meant. Or rather, these powerful families guessed Sandai's thoughts. Although Sandai would attack Danzo, he did not want to kill him. He did not want Naoki and Danzo to fight to the death and consume Konoha's foundation for no reason. Establishing an Uchiha as an enemy is already the best situation. If there are more, it will be easy to play himself to death. When Naoki knew Sandai's attitude, he was helpless. Sandai obviously did not want him to make a big fuss. Naoki looked at the embarrassed Tsukumo, expressed his understanding, and had to turn around and leave. But Naoki would not give up. Since Danzo kidnapped Asami, Kobayashi and the others, it means that Danzo has already reached out to the people around him. If I hadn't gone to the streets to cry that day, who knows what Danzo would have done to Kobayashi and the others. No, he might have already done it. If Danzo is not taught a lesson, that will be unforgettable. Who knows what other crazy things he will do. After being defeated by the Hokage, Naoki returned home and summoned the Senju clan members in the house. Danzo will not dare to provoke the third Hokage if nothing unexpected happens. Kobayashi and the others will most likely be sent out. You should spread out all over the village and find out where they first appeared. Yes, master. Everyone quickly went out, and some people were specifically watching Danzo. In the evening, there was news that the third Hokage and the Hokage seemed to have had a meeting. However, he had no idea what the specific content was. After all, this was a conversation between the top and second in command of Konoha, so confidentiality was naturally a must. Late at night, someone discovered that the whole family of Mr. Yamanaka appeared on the outskirts of the northwest corner of Konoha village, but the strange thing was that Asami Kobayashi was not there. Naoki suddenly had a bad premonition and rushed directly to Yamanaka Kaming's house. Yamanaka Kaming returned home somewhat lost, lying on the sofa and staring blankly at the ceiling. And Yamanaka Haneda looked at his father with a strange look in his eyes. Disgusted, angry, or disappointed. Teacher Yamanaka. A voice like a ghost's whisper came to Yamanaka Kaming's ears. After hearing the voice, Yamanaka Kaming was like a cat with its fur blown up, and a chill rushed from the soles of his feet to the top of his head. He glanced at his daughter. Yamanaka Kaming seemed to have made a decision. He put on a piece of clothing, went out and leaned against the wall, and Yamanaka Kaming lit a cigarette for himself. Naoki, come out. Naoki was wearing a white royal robe, and was particularly conspicuous in the dark. Long time no see. Teacher Yamanaka, I'm sorry to bother you. I want to know what you experienced before. Where have you been? Or do you have any special impression of that place? Also, isn't Kobayashi-sama with you? When mentioning Kobayashi-sama, Yamanaka Nanaka's hands couldn't help shaking. Noroshu, long time no see. You're so tall now, and you've become a hero of Konoha. I know you have a lot of doubts, but how about listening to a story from me first? Noroshu realized that something was wrong with Yamanaka Nanaka's condition, and he stood there without moving. Once there was a ninja. His talent was actually not that great. He could not do anything well. It would take him a month to master a technique that others could master in a week. This ninja was originally very strong, but gradually, he discovered that the gap between his talent and family background was so terrible, it was simply an insurmountable chasm for him. His initial enthusiasm gradually dissipated, and he began to lose himself in the world. He began to accept his ordinariness, got married, had children, and had a stable job, teaching. This ninja loved this job very much, and looked at those students as if they were his own children. Yamanaka Nanaka suddenly laughed, as if she was recalling something warm. This ninja thought he would be so ordinary forever, until one day, someone told him that he might be able to control his own destiny, say no to everything, and start over. Just when the war broke out, the ninja was suddenly overwhelmed by the burning blood, and decided to go to the battlefield. But he was just a genin, not even cannon fodder in a battle of that scale. Once, a kunai was only 1 centimeter away from his throat, and it was another ninja who saved him. This poor genin naturally knew that he should repay the life-saving grace with a spring, but the other party's request was to do something bad to his former student. Of course he refused, but who knew that the group used his daughter as a threat and ordered him to do those things. Yamanaka Nanaka fell into silence, and the cigarette in his mouth was soon burned to only the cigarette holder. Puff. Throwing away the cigarette holder, Yamanaka Nanaka exhaled a long puff of smoke. It was Kobayashi's own decision not to come back. She no longer wanted to return to this dark hell. Only I, the evil ghost, was still living in shame. Yamanaka Nanaka took out a small pointer. I'm blindfolded, and I don't know where it is, but this pointer has a recording function. If you go in the opposite direction, you should be able to find what you want. I dare not admit that I'm your teacher anymore. I'm no longer worthy of these 2 words, but I still hope that you can do me a favor. Naoki, please take good care of my wife and daughter for me. Yamanaka Nanaka shook her wrist, and a flash of light flashed. Blood splattered. Oh, what happened yesterday was discovered by Zehuan. It seems that I can't cheat anymore. Okay, tomorrow's day. By the way, let me ask everyone, do you want the plot to be a little more cruel? Chapter 94 SQ. Yamanaka Kaming looked at the scene in front of him in horror. It turned out that it was Rope Tree who flew over and blocked the hidden weapon that Yamanaka Kaming used to commit suicide. Rope Tree pulled out the hidden weapon from his hand, and blood flowed out. Taking care of people is troublesome. You should take care of your wife and daughter yourself. How many people live in this world with a heavy past? Only those who recognize the cruelty of reality and can live bravely are true warriors. As he spoke, the wound on Rope Tree's hand had scarred at a speed visible to the naked eye. In the face of the great fear between life and death and the protective love of protecting your daughter, making any decision is understandable. The only one who refuses to forgive yourself is you. Rope Tree looked behind Yamanaka Kaming, but there was a small figure standing at the door. Your father did nothing wrong. He is just an ordinary person, so let me do the next job. Rope Tree took the pointer and disappeared into the darkness again. Root base. The real base of the root is not the dark and cramped root building, but outside the village. After following the pointer to find the entrance of the root organization base, Rope Tree discovered that it was a small market. There were some secret guards patrolling around the market. Rope Tree secretly went forward and paralyzed these people with poison powder, but did not kill them. Although Rope Tree came to settle accounts with Danzo, there was no need to kill these innocent ninjas. It must not be here, so it must be underground. Rope Tree carefully patrolled a circle and began to explore the mechanism. He found a secret door in a room. He used his fingers to turn into a key and opened the door. Rope Tree successfully found an elevator. Be careful. Damn it. Those things are very expensive. A ninja was a little impatient with his clumsy subordinates. Okay, Ninja Master. In the huge root organization base, of course, it is impossible for all of them to be ninjas. There are also many ordinary people who are here for various reasons for the ninja class to exploit. Well, although I don't want to admit it, the fact is that the ninja's exploitation of civilians is definitely no less than that of the evil capitalists, so the lives of ordinary people here are miserable. You. Hurry up. What are you doing dawdling? The ninja saw a thin figure fall to the ground and stepped forward angrily and kicked the man. The figure did not say a word, but continued to carry the goods. It was Kobayashi Asami. The ninja also saw Kobayashi Asami's pretty face at this time and couldn't help but feel thief. I haven't seen such a young girl for a long time. Come here, I will punish you well. The other ninjas who were supervising around kindly reminded Morikawa, don't cause trouble now, that woman seems to have just come yesterday. What if? Haha, are you stupid? This is the route. For so many years, ordinary people have only entered but not left. Help me watch the class, I'm going to enjoy it. Morikawa smiled and carried Kobayashi Asami on his shoulders and came to an empty warehouse. The strange thing is that Kobayashi Asami didn't cry or make a fuss. There was no light in her eyes. She let Morikawa throw her on the floor of the warehouse. Morikawa untied his belt and exposed the thing below. Bitch, open your mouth. Seeing that Kobayashi Asami didn't react at all, Morikawa slapped Kobayashi Asami in the face and slapped her to the ground. Damn, you're like a dead person. Don't pretend for me, otherwise, I'll kill you. A trace of blood oozed from the corner of Kobayashi Asami's mouth, but her eyes were still lifeless. Bitch, I'll do it myself. Open your mouth. A voice suddenly came from the darkness. What? A branch shot out from the darkness and pierced through Morikawa's mouth and the back of his head. Morikawa's eyes flashed with disbelief, but his entire brain center was destroyed, so he couldn't say a word. Kobayashi, are you okay? Hearing this familiar voice, Kobayashi Asami finally reacted. She looked at the dark corner with some hesitation. Is it Naoki? A figure walked out of the darkness. When Kobayashi Asami saw that figure, tears almost burst out of her eyes. Naoki-kun. Kobayashi staggered forward and hugged Naoki and kept saying I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Naoki had to slowly stroke Kobayashi's back with his hands to comfort her emotions. After a long time, Kobayashi Asami stopped sobbing. It's okay, I'll take you out. But Kobayashi Asami immediately shook her head. No, no. Naoki looked into Kobayashi's eyes, which were full of panic and fear. It was obvious that she must have suffered a huge blow here. What did Danzo do to you? Seeing Kobayashi's puzzled face, Naoki realized that she probably didn't even know who Danzo was. He's just a ninja with only one eye and 2 knife scars on his chin. Kobayashi's face turned pale when he heard this description. It's okay, there are only 2 of us here, don't be afraid. Naoki really had no experience in coaxing people, so he had to use patience to slowly let Kobayashi speak out. Shingshu, I killed many people, old people, children, but I didn't mean to. I was totally out of control at the time. Xiaolin buried his head in Shengshu's chest again and began to feel pain. Killing people. Shengshu knew that Xiaolin certainly couldn't do this. It should be Danzo who forced Yamanaka Naki to use the secret technique of the Yamanaka clan to control Xiaolin. But why did he control Xiaolin to kill people? Shengshu looked at Xiaolin with some heartache. God knows what kind of psychological torture this innocent girl has suffered in the past 3 days. It's okay, it's not your fault. You couldn't control your body at all at the time. Shengshu continued to comfort her. At this moment, a voice suddenly came from outside. Morikawa, the boss is coming soon. Are you done? Xiaolin stopped sobbing immediately, and even his breathing became extremely slow. Shengshu used the transformation technique to change his voice into Morikawa's accent. Got it. How can I be so fast? You scolded me. Why did you come at this time instead of earlier or later? As he spoke, Shengshu slapped his thigh with his right hand to make a sound. Go and help me out first. I'll be there soon. Morikawa, you. The footsteps outside gradually faded away, which made Shengshu and Xiaolin breathe a sigh of relief. Xiaolin, it's not safe here. You come out with me first. No matter what, think about your parents and those who love you. There is no use in giving up on yourself. It can't hurt your enemies, but will only punish yourself and those who truly love you. Shangshu wiped away Xiaolin's tears with his hand, but after thinking for a while, he left some traces on it. Let's go. I'll take you to face your fear and defeat it. Chapter 95 Meeting with Danzo. Naoki changed into Morikawa, disheveled and cursing. You're killing me. You have to come at this time. The ninja who had talked to Morikawa before smiled bitterly. Say less. The boss is in a bad mood today. It seems that he was scolded by Danzo-sama. Then the man laughed obscenely. How was that woman? Was she satisfied? A trace of murderous intent burst out in Naoki's heart, but on the surface he responded with the same obscene smile. She's a young girl, but she didn't cry or make a fuss. So boring. The ninja licked his lips. You can find such a top-notch girl. I'll try next time. Congratulations to this extra. You have been selected into Naoki's must-kill list, and you are the only one. The boss is here. Stand up. After a while, a man wearing sunglasses came in front of everyone. It was Ryoma Aburame. Where is the woman who came yesterday? Her name is Asami Kobayashi. Where is she? It's over. The man next to Naoki looked at Naoki with a look of horror. What the hell? What the hell? Rope Tree was also shocked at this time. Seeing that Rope Tree and the others were still silent, Aburame Ryoma lowered his voice. Where is she? Rope Tree stammered. Boss, what are you looking for her for? Do I need to report to you what I'm doing with her? Aburame Ryoma glared at Rope Tree. Tell me, where is she? At this time, the ninja next to him said, Lord Ryoma, Asami Kobayashi is in the deepest warehouse. In the warehouse? Rope Tree glared at the ninja next to him fiercely and made a mouth shape you wait. The ninja hurriedly lowered his head and dared not look at Rope Tree again. Aburame Ryoma looked at the two of them in confusion and was about to go to the warehouse, but Asami Kobayashi had already walked out. Asami Kobayashi was disheveled at this time, and she staggered a little. There were tears on her face and her eyes were dull. Aburame Ryoma was stunned at first, and then he was furious and slapped Rope Tree in the face. Asshole, you are a good for nothing who can only cause trouble. Then he kicked Naoki against the wall again. Naoki spat out a mouthful of blood. I'm injured. I was pretending. When Asami Kobayashi saw Naoki spitting out blood, her lips trembled unconsciously. Aburame Ryoma looked at Morikawa with disappointment. He knew Morikawa's shortcomings, but this guy was not weak either, and he had his own way of doing things, so Aburame Ryoma turned a blind eye to some of Morikawa's things. But who knew that this guy would be so fast this time? Aburame Ryoma looked at Morikawa viciously. This is a person that Lord Danzo specifically asked for. If Lord Danzo just wanted to execute her, it would be fine, but if Lord Danzo wanted her, just commit suicide. After that, Aburame Ryoma no longer looked at Naoki, but just left with Kobayashi. The wretched ninja came to Rope Tree and said, I'm so sorry, Morikawa. I had no choice just now, but I advised you before. Look, you're in trouble now. Rope Tree stood up, holding his chest. Didn't I just say that? You're done. The ninja felt funny. Morikawa was really stubborn, even when he was about to die. But when he looked at Rope Tree again, a sharp branch pierced his throat. Rope Tree patted the dirt on his body. You have to believe what I say. Danzo-sama, Kobayashi Asami is here. Got it. Go down. Hey. In the dark room, Kobayashi Asami looked at the man sitting at the top in fear. Danzo closed his eyes, as if thinking about something. Why don't you leave? Do you like it here? Danzo's sudden question came without any warning, and Kobayashi trembled in fear. Danzo looked at Kobayashi Asami with pity. My plan was successful, but he managed to dodge it with his almost unreasonable way. What a pity. You are no longer of any use to me. If you stay here, it may even be harmful. What do you think I should do? Danzo slowly stood up and looked at the beam. Come down. I've already found you. Seeing no movement, Danzo said again, your fighting ability is good, but there are still some things that are lacking. If Tsukumo or Orochimaru came to my route, there might be a chance. Your stealth is really too bad, Senju Naoki. Kobayashi looked up nervously when he heard Naoki's name. Naoki, who was hiding in the dark, also came out. Naoki was not surprised at all that Danzo found him. After all, if Danzo was really so easy to approach, he would have died long ago with so many enemies. What surprised Naoki was that Danzo seemed to have mobilized the surrounding defense forces. In his perception, there were no ninjas from the route for nearly a mile around. Don't doubt it. In order to reassure you, I have transferred all the people around me, just to have a good exchange with you. Danzo pointed to a chair beside him. Sit down. Although this is our first meeting, you are qualified to sit and talk with me. Naoki looked at the calm and composed Danzo, and for a moment he really wanted to kill Danzo. But it was just a thought. Even if Danzo hadn't transplanted the Sharingan yet, his strength must have reached the level of Kage. Even if he turned on the Sage mode, he was not sure that he could kill Danzo instantly. No, what do you want to talk to me about? Danzo's mouth curled up. Very good. It seems that there is really something to talk about. Naoshu, there is no need to treat me as an enemy. Otherwise, why do you think I would attack you? There is no benefit in going against you. You are born with great prestige in Konoha, and the place where you live is full of light, but I'm just a shadow hiding in the dark. We should not be opponents. You are not stupid, otherwise Hirozen would not have thought you were qualified to be his successor after chatting with you when you were 4 years old. So you should understand that the one who wants to kill you this time is not someone else, but your good master. Naoshu, you are growing up too fast, and your master has begun to be obsessed with his own power, so he will do anything to you. I'm just a lonely ghost hiding in the dark. It is ridiculous for you to treat me as an enemy. Naoshu looked at Danzo and frowned. So what do you mean, Danzo-sama? Danzo smiled even more when he heard the change in Naoshu's address. We can join forces to fight against the Hokage together. Naoshu was silent. Of course, he was silent not because he was considering joining forces with Danzo, but because he was thinking about how Danzo could be so arrogant. Is this the legendary saying that there are no eternal friends or eternal enemies, only eternal interests? Danzo's half-truths may be enough to fool others, but Naoki didn't listen to a word of it. However, it seems that Danzo can be used to his advantage. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 96 Cooperation. Rope Tree. It turned out that Kobayashi saw that Rope Tree was silent and thought that Rope Tree was really moved, so he quickly reminded him. Danzo glanced at Kobayashi unhappily, but did not speak. Rope Tree suddenly asked. Kobayashi said that she had killed someone before. Did you do it? Why? Danzo nodded. This is all the plan of the Hokage. I'm just the executor. The original plan was to control Kobayashi-Asami to seduce Yamana Kanami, create a taboo love, and attack your body and mind. Kobayashi-Asami's face changed drastically at this time. When she thought of the consequences of doing so, Kobayashi-Asami collapsed to the ground. Rope Tree did not seem to be angry, but looked at Danzo. What is the purpose? To force you to go crazy, or even force you to defect. Otherwise you are the grandson of the first generation after all. Even the Hokage will not be able to attack you openly. Rope Tree did not expect that Danzo had planned this from the beginning. To be honest, if what Danzo said really happened, Rope Tree might really lose his mind. It's not that Rope Tree really likes Kobayashi-Asami or regards teacher Yamanaka as his life mentor. Instead, Rope Tree will be angry that someone was hurt because of him. At that time, Rope Tree will most likely ignore the dissuasion and go to Danzo to avenge Xiaolin. No matter what the reason, if he fights with the Konoha high level in the village, then Rope Tree may really be finished. This also happens to confirm the image of Rope Tree's tyranny in the rumors. At that time, even if Orochimaru comes forward, he probably can't clear Rope Tree. Danzo, you are so cruel. Rope Tree let out a long sigh. You still didn't say why you controlled Xiaolin to kill people, and who did she kill? Danzo looked at Rope Tree. You can't say. You can't say. You can't say. Rope Tree didn't ask again. Since Danzo didn't say it, he could only rely on himself to investigate. How do you want to cooperate? Danzo pointed at Rope Tree. I want you. Me. Rope Tree felt a chill. Yourselves. Oh, isn't that right? Naoki was a little confused. My teacher should have worked with you for quite a while before, right? You won't try to get away out of him. Orochimaru. Danzo's other hand clenched slightly harder. Your teacher is a good teacher, and he protects your information very well. That's right. Naoki smiled. It seems that Danzo was controlled by Orochimaru. Not only did he not get his cells, but Orochimaru got the secret project that Danzo himself was researching. No wonder Danzo said that besides Tsukumo, only Orochimaru could go to the root base. What can I get? Protection. Protection from the root organization. One day, I will even help you become Hokage. I don't want empty promises in the future. Besides, you also said that the third Hokage would never attack me openly. These are not enough. What do you want? First, all the ninjutsu left by the first Hokage and the second Hokage. These are originally our Senju family's things. Don't think that they are yours after they have been in your hands for a long time. Second, I want a copy of your research materials on wood release. Don't try to deceive me. After all, I'm a wood release ninja. Third, I want a pair of Byakugan. Danzo frowned. The first two are no problem, but Byakugan is basically impossible. Rope Tree sneered. Don't make a fuss. There are branches of the Hyuga clan working for the root. You still can't get a pair of Byakugan? Danzo still shook his head. The caged bird mark is very powerful and almost impossible to destroy. Then lure out a main family. The two fell into a strange silence. The only sound in the huge room was Kobayashi's heavy breathing. I will try to find a way, but it may not be done in a short time. I will inform you when the time comes. Happy cooperation. Rope Tree carried Kobayashi and left the root organization base. Danzo, do you really want to cooperate with the other party? A group of flying insects flew out from behind Danzo's chair and formed the shape of a Burame Ryoma. Danzo looked at the can of blood in his hand thoughtfully. Cooperation? It's just mutual use. Danzo didn't expect Rope Tree to be open-hearted to him in a single meeting, but at least he had achieved his goal. By the way, did you record the conversation just now? My lord, I recorded it all. Very good. Danzo thought for a moment and then said to a Burame Ryoma, don't show up recently. You hit that kid twice. He should have remembered it. Be careful of his revenge. Yes, sir. Rope Tree, put me down. As soon as he reached the ground, a cold low shout came from behind Rope Tree. Rope Tree stopped, and Kobayashi Asami also jumped off Rope Tree's back. Shangshu turned around, only to find Xiaolin looking at him with a cold face. Shangshu, I didn't expect you to become like this. You were lying to me just now. You are just like them. You only care about your own interests. You are no different from them. Xiaolin looked at Shangshu with tears in his eyes, and disappointment was written on his face. Shangshu did not deny it, but just looked at Xiaolin. You must have made a mistake. I have never been a white moonlight. From the moment I was born, I was not the same kind of person as you. I didn't lie to you just now. I will find out what happened to you, but not now. Xiaolin, you may have always felt that I have some other relationship with you, but I can tell you now, there is nothing at all. Xiaolin still had tears in his eyes, but you just said that you would accompany me to face it together. Shangshu interrupted Xiaolin. The situation was urgent just now. If I don't give you some strength, you won't be able to recover. Of course, if you insist on thinking that I'm lying to you, I have nothing to say. You have too high expectations of me, or maybe it's because I'm too far away from you, so you don't know me at all. Like other villagers, the Shangshu in your heart is just another me in your mind. Xiaolin sat on the ground miserably, not knowing what he was thinking. For you, the blow these days is really big, but if I come back to your side now, it would be really cruel to you. Shangshu certainly yearns for things like men and women having affairs, but he is now living in the ninja world full of dangers. If you can't protect your woman, then this kind of love is just a mirage. When she is sick, you will find how pale I love you is in front of the doctor. When she is bullied, you will find how humble I love you is. Rather than endure the next possible disappointment, it is better to accept the destined miss in front of you. If possible, I hope to come to a completely unfamiliar world, where I don't know anything about the Six Paths Sage, Uchiha Madara, Zetsu, or the Ninja World War. Naoki put a pointer in Xiaolin's hand. I'm already lost in this world, I hope you don't. Under the moonlight, Naoki's departing figure was stretched very long. Chapter 97 Orochimaru's Warning. After a busy month, the building of the research department was built quickly, which made the villagers marvel, but they had no idea that a certain would-release ninja was cursing behind their backs. Orochimaru also gradually began to establish order in the research department. The research department set up various laboratories, which were temporarily divided into 5 laboratories. If nothing unexpected happens, 5 major projects can be carried out at the same time. According to the plan, there are 5 persons in charge of these 5 major projects, but now, except for the 5th laboratory, which is in charge of Naoki, the persons in charge of the 1st to 4th laboratories are all Orochimaru. Really, a research boss. And the people of the Senju clan slowly moved here during this month. The Senju clan was appointed as the security department of the research department, and the 8 clan members at the level of Jonin used the code names of 2. The other clan members were also divided into 8 groups, and each of them had a code name, such as and so on. After a month of paid vacation, the people of the research department also gathered together to start work again, and the entire research department finally had a thriving feeling. Naoshu, come here. With a serious face, Orochimaru called Naoshu, who was teasing Minato, to the laboratory. You said before that you met someone who has a counter effect on wood release. Naoshu was confused by the rumors. After he came back, he only mentioned the encounter with Zetsu to Orochimaru casually, but Orochimaru still remembered it firmly. Naoshu, this is very dangerous. Seeing that Naoshu was still nonchalant, Orochimaru frowned. Wood release is not just a combination of water attribute chakra and earth attribute chakra. It is different from other melting and ice releases. There should be a more advanced energy in it. Although I don't know who the person you met is, there is no doubt that he should have the same energy as wood release, or at least the same level. This means that there is another blood limit in this world that can be compared with wood release. Orochimaru's eyes gradually became fanatical. Especially after Orochimaru successfully cultivated the Sage Mode, he had a more thorough understanding of this world. Physical strength is undoubtedly the power that everyone in this world has. Although there are strong and weak ones, they are all at the same level and there is no difference in essence. After that, there is the chakra that belongs to the ninja. The chakra extracted varies from person to person, which is the so-called various chakra attributes. There are the 5 most common chakra attributes of wind, thunder, fire, earth, and water, and there are also yin and yang attribute chakras owned by the Inoshikachou. Above that is the chakra owned by ninjas with bloodline limits, such as the ice escape of the Mizunotsuki clan and the Mist Ninja, including the bloodline elimination that the 3rd generation of Tsuchikage has. Orochimaru classifies it as a basic energy. Above that is the natural energy and wood escape that can maintain the fairy technique. That's right, Orochimaru never thought that wood escape was a simple bloodline limit, but that there was a higher level of energy hidden in it. Now that he heard that there was another highest level of energy, Orochimaru was undoubtedly tempted. This scared Rope Tree. You must not go looking for trouble with Zetsu, otherwise Amadara-sama will definitely kill anyone who comes out. Rope Tree quickly stopped Orochimaru's thoughts. Teacher, I've always suspected that he left some mark on me. Why don't you try to find it? Maybe you can find this energy. Orochimaru's snake pupils shrank slightly. Come on, come inside with me. I'll look for it. As soon as he said it, Orochimaru pulled Rope Tree to a secret room. Rope Tree took off all his clothes except for his shorts and sat in the middle of the secret room. Orochimaru drew a huge spell on the ground. Rope Tree relied on his unreliable guess and felt that it should enhance perception. It may hurt a little, bear with it. Orochimaru's neck suddenly became longer and bit Rope Tree's neck fiercely. Damn. Teacher, can you use some normal methods? Suddenly, Orochimaru's head had a very exaggerated deformation. It was as if a huge mass was pulled out of Rope Tree's neck and swallowed into his mouth by Orochimaru. Soon, it was not only the head that was deformed, but even Orochimaru's neck seemed to be filled with foreign objects. Finally, Orochimaru's body, which was several meters away, also began to swell. After 10 minutes, Orochimaru's body stopped swelling, and Orochimaru's mouth finally loosened. Cap. Then Orochimaru began to spit out a bunch of white objects. The scene was horrible. Even Rope Tree, who had seen too many magical postures of Orochimaru, couldn't help but turn his head away. Finally, all the white objects were spit out, and Orochimaru's body returned to normal. The white objects squirmed on the ground, and several faces began to emerge. Wow. Rope Tree counted them. There were 10 white Zetsu. He was really proud of himself. Orochimaru excitedly used the scroll to seal the 10 white Zetsu. That's the feeling. I feel a different energy in them. Orochimaru happily took the scroll and swallowed it into his stomach and hid it. This should be the safest place in the ninja world in Orochimaru's opinion. Naoshu, I'll study these things. You should also work harder on your training. Your real strength should be at the quasi-cage level now, but the wood release and sage mode make your combat power seem particularly strong. If you keep going like this, sooner or later others will find out and find ways to target you. You should use wood release and sage mode as trump cards. Don't always try your best. Naoshu's heart trembled, knowing that Orochimaru was a little dissatisfied with his slackness and was giving him advice. Well, it's good to know. There are also a few small projects. You take the group to complete them. It's best to get them done before I go into seclusion. Okay, what? You want to go into seclusion? Are you going to be a hands-off boss? Naoshu was confused, but Orochimaru obviously didn't want to give him time to refuse and plunged into the core number 1 laboratory. Okay, in the end, I'm the one who is sad. Naoshu went to see the small project that Orochimaru mentioned. Several hypotheses on the connection between the soul and the body. The possibility of long-term storage of natural energy. Can changes in the nature of chakra attributes give rise to new bloodline limits? There's no way to live. That blonde boy. The corners of Naoki's mouth rose slightly. The prepared free labor. No, the future scientists of the new era can be put to use so soon. Little golden retriever. That's right. It's you. Minato. Come here. Let me test you. It's been 4 chapters and there is still 1 chapter short of the promised 10,000 chapters, but Raojun can't hold on any longer. I'll make up for it tomorrow. Go to sleep. Save your life. Good night. Chapter 98 Teaching Ninjutsu. Minato has always been the most popular character in Naruto, even surpassing Itachi, which is enough to show his personal charm. He is handsome, has a good personality, is strong, has high talent, and is also a bit sultry. You can't find such a man even in the toilet. Although there are no particularly powerful legends about him in scientific research, he was able to practice the Flying Thunder God technique to perfection, invent the Rasengan, and even split the Nine-Tails chakra into 2, which is enough to show his strength. Minato, let me test you. What do you think about the change in the nature of chakra? Minato's forehead was black. I'm still a genin. Naoki gave Minato an encouraging look, and Minato had to express his opinion according to his feelings. Ninjutsu generally has 2 types, nature change and form change, which is also the basic change of ninjutsu to chakra. For example, the Rasengan of Senior Naoki is a form change, and the nature change is a more difficult type of chakra change. For example, my attribute is the wind attribute, so I can use the most basic nature of wind, lightness, sharpness, etc. In fact, the Senior's Rasengan also has a slight nature change, which is to add the spin of wind. Naoki didn't expect Minato to have such an understanding, just by taking a look at the Rasengan, and he had basically guessed it. Naoki nodded and pulled Minato to a room. The materials here can withstand the power of A-level ninjutsu. We can practice here first. From today on, I will teach you the ninjutsu of Rasengan. Minato's eyes lit up. Thank you, Senior Naoki. It's okay. After all, Minato, a tool man, still needs to reach a new level before he can better help him with experimental analysis. In the evening, Minato was alone in the world holding a water ball and practicing the Rasengan that Naoki had just taught him. Minato, I brought a lunchbox. The red-haired Kushina greeted Minato happily. Everyone in the village says that the research department is very powerful. I heard that the benefits are very good. Minato's mind was full of Naoki's face. It's okay. Except that there is no need to fight for the time being. It is still very difficult. Kushina looked at the water ball in Minato's hand. What is this? Why did you suddenly think of playing water ball? Minato looked at the water ball in his hand. This is a way of training. It is an S-level ninjutsu taught to me by Naoki Senior. Naoki? S-level? It's great. Minato, Naoki Sr. is so good to you. Does he want to take you as his apprentice? Huh? Minato thought for a moment. I don't know. Senior Naoki's considerations are not something we can guess. Now let's finish what Senior Naoki asked us to do. As expected of Minato, come and eat the lunchbox. Well, Kushina's lunchbox is delicious. Really? Let me try it. Poof. I forgot to put salt. Haha. Naoki planned to throw the topic of chakra nature change to Minato, and the storage of natural energy can refer to Naruto's method, which only leaves the relationship between soul and body. In the original world, this was undoubtedly the main direction of Orochimaru's attack, and finally created bug-level techniques such as reincarnation and Yamato no Orochi. Now this is obviously not what Orochimaru wants to study. He is more interested in the sage mode. Flesh, soul. Any time traveler is more sensitive to these two terms. In the original world, this is undoubtedly a topic that cannot be started at all. After all, the existence of the soul has never been proven. But the ninja world is different. In the future, Pain's human way and Orochimaru can easily separate the soul from the body. No, there seems to be another person. Kato-dan. His spirit transformation technique. Naoki narrowed his eyes. Yes, I actually forgot about him. But Kato-dan is a jonin, unlike the people in the research department who can be transferred here at will. Let's go find him. Kato-dan's current position is the guiding jonin of a group of genin. It was noon when Naoki found him, and then he began to follow Kato-dan and his team. Kato-dan obviously also discovered Naoki, who was not hiding anything, but seeing that Naoki was not in a hurry, he ignored Naoki and carried out his teaching task on his own. Kato-dan was indeed a gentle person. He was also very kind to these three newly graduated rookie genin, and basically corrected their movements bit by bit. Time passed quickly, and soon it was evening. After watching the three genin students leave, Naoki stepped forward. Mr. Kato-dan? Hello, I'm Senju Naoki. Kato-dan saluted without being humble or arrogant. I've heard a lot about you. Is there anything I can help you with? Naoki didn't directly say what he wanted to say, but instead said in a roundabout way, is Kato always so gentle when educating students? But I heard that, if we don't encourage them, when they are young, they may pay the price for it in the future. Kato-dan was silent. The war is over. Kato teacher, you are the village's jonin. You should know a lot of things that civilians don't know. In the war that just ended, other villages were ready to move. It's hard to guarantee that war won't break out again in the future. Maybe. Kato-dan looked at the setting sun. Of course I hope they grow up as soon as possible, but I don't want to leave any psychological trauma on them. By the way, since Naoki said that, they must have experienced a lot of hardships compared to their childhood. Some past memories came to his mind, of course not in this world, but when Naoki was really young. But Naoki came back to his senses immediately. Kato teacher, you are joking, but you are indeed a kind person. On behalf of the scientific research department, I would like to extend a sincere invitation to you. I hope you can join the scientific research department. Who knew that Kato-dan refused? I enjoy my current life very much. There is no disturbance of war. I just want to teach young children knowledge, so I'm sorry that I can't obey your order. Naoki continued to make efforts. I will definitely not disturb your current life. You may have misunderstood one thing. The research department is not like those organizations in the Anbu. It is more about gathering all kinds of people to form a research institute. The purpose is to research results that can enable more people to live a better life. This is what Naoki really thinks, at least part of it. After all, with Naoki's current ninja knowledge, there is no need to open up such a large scientific research organization. Putting aside the mess of politics, war, and weapons, Naoki still hopes that more results that are beneficial to ordinary people will come out. After all, one must leave some traces of having been to this world in order to have a clear conscience. Kato-dan hesitated. Give me some time, I need to think about it. Okay, the research department is always open to you. Chapter 99 Genius Minato. Naoki was a little disappointed that he failed to get Kato-dan into the research department immediately. So now Naoki can only start from scratch by himself and look through the research materials about Orochimaru's soul. Just when Naoki was immersed in the long-lost feeling of reading, an uninvited guest disturbed his happiness. Senior Naoki. I succeeded. Naoki looked at the ball with blue light in Minato's hand with a confused face. I know you are the inventor of the Rasengan, but isn't this too fast? You succeeded in less than 3 days. You are worthy of being the fastest man in the ninja world. Not bad. Your speed in mastering this ninjutsu is not bad. Minato scratched his head a little embarrassedly. It's okay. I always feel that I'm stupid. It took me a month to find the trick when I was practicing the Flying Thunder God technique. Listen to the genius Versailles literature. Flying Thunder God technique. The space-time ninjutsu that attracted countless heroes, and the heavenly ninjutsu that Minato's Hokage guards needed 3 people to perform, but Minato was able to find the trick in just 1 month. The most terrifying thing is that Minato can also research the second stage of Flying Thunder God. It's a waste of talent for such a person to be a Hokage. Rosu looked at Minato. Good man, you brought this upon yourself. Let's not study the ninjutsu of Flying Thunder God first. Since you have mastered the Rasengan, you are qualified to conduct the following research. Rosu paused reading the literature and took Minato to a forest outside the village. After all, if the next operation is not careful, the laboratory can be dismantled. Then Uncle Snake will probably dismantle Rosu as well. After Rosu condensed the Rasengan in his hand, he asked, have you tested the power of the Rasengan? Minato nodded frantically. That was really amazing. Then Rosu continued to add chakra to the Rasengan in his hand. The Rasengan that had just filled his palm was already the size of a human head. A trace of cold sweat appeared on Minato's forehead. The reason why the Rasengan is only the size of a palm is because controlling the condensation of the Rasengan is a very demanding skill. If it is larger, although the power will increase, it will become more and more uncontrollable until, boom, a violent explosion sounded. Minato hurriedly tried to block it, but found that Naoki had adjusted his posture and turned his back to him. Naoki-senpai. It's okay. Naoki hid his bloody hand in the sleeve of the divine robe. Why? Minato was not stupid, and he immediately understood what Naoki meant. Senior, do you want to practice your control ability? Naoki shook his head. That's one thing, and there is also the essence of this ninjutsu. Essence? That's right. The so-called ninja's hand seals are to control chakra more stably and smoothly. In this way, those ninjutsu that require more chakra will require more hand seals to mobilize the chakra in the body. And the Rasengan is a ninjutsu without hand seals. It sacrifices the time of hand seals just to pursue the time saved. This means that you can't use hand seals to help yourself become more familiar with the control, but the difficulty of controlling the Rasengan is among the best in all conventional ninjutsu. Tell me, how to solve this problem? Minato was stunned by the question. He didn't even understand what Naoki meant. He thought about it in his mind for 5 minutes. Minato looked at Naoki with some uncertainty. Senior Naoki, do you mean that the Rasengan has reached its limit in terms of shape change? Do you want to explore its nature change? That's right. The child is teachable. In fact, there is no point in rolling the Rasengan bigger and rounder. You can only pursue the change of nature. For example, the wind style, Uzumaki Shuriken developed by Naruto later. That is a ninjutsu that has developed the sharp nature of wind escape to the extreme. It is not an exaggeration to call it one of the strongest ninjutsu. Senjutsu and Yin-Yang escape do not count. Minato carefully thought about how to change the nature of the Rasengan, and Naoki also gave him a hint. You should know that Jonin generally have more than 2 chakra attributes. To reach Jonin means that they have reached the extreme of using their own chakra. After that, they generally pursue the change of the nature of these chakras. For example, if a person has the chakra of wind and water, once he finds the same nature in the change of the nature of the chakra of the 2 attributes, it will turn into ice. Minato looked at Naoki in shock. Naoki seemed to be revealing the secrets of the bloodline ninja to him bit by bit. Minato began to continue Naoki's thoughts. Wind and water have a common property, cold, and once the changes in the nature of these 2 chakras are mastered, a new ninjutsu will be born. Others call this bloodline limit. Naoki was very happy that Minato understood it immediately and clapped his hands for Minato. But Naoki-senpai, according to what you said, doesn't it mean that as long as there is one person who can discover the common properties of the 3 chakra attributes, he will have a bloodline limit composed of 3 chakras? Good guy. The little guy can draw inferences from one example. He understood the bloodline elimination so quickly. Minato's eyes became brighter and brighter. What if someone finds the common properties of 5 chakras? I'm convinced. Minato seemed to have figured out the essence of yin-yang escape. Of course, things are not that simple. Naoki slapped Minato on the head. What are you thinking about? It's amazing for someone to figure out the change of the nature of 1 chakra. It's rare to figure out 2, and there are only 2 people in the entire ninja world who can figure out 3. Shh. Minato sucked in a breath of cold air. Someone actually worked out the common properties of the 3 chakras. It's the 2nd and 3rd Hokage. They mastered the dust release, which is a technique that changes the properties of the 3 chakras. And it's no longer called a bloodline limit, it's called bloodline elimination. Oh, of course, this is not the content of this project. My teacher is Lord Orochimaru, and the project he assigned to me is to study why this bloodline limit is passed down through the bloodline. Transmission? Teacher, are you talking about Uchiha? Naoki was speechless. Good guy, he even thought of Uchiha. But Sharingan is obviously not an ordinary bloodline limit. This is related to the goddess of the moon and the ancestor of chakra, Kaguya Otsutsuki. Of course, Naoki would not tell Minato about such things. These secrets have not yet been exposed. However, Minato got into the state early, supporting his chin with one hand and said, "Senior, since it is inherited by blood, could it be that after the 2 chakras develop the same point, to form a bloodline limit, a special existence will be born, and this kind of thing can be inherited, so there are these bloodline ninjas." Naoki suddenly froze in place. When he looked at Minato again, his face was full of shock. Damn. I didn't expect such a simple thing. Is this the legendary 1% of talent that can defeat 99% of sweat? Chapter 100. Run away. Most of the descendants of ninjas are ninjas. Most of the descendants of bloodline ninjas are bloodline ninjas. This means that their genetic material is likely to have changed. And this thing that changes genetic material is likely something produced when chakra changes its nature. Rope Tree's eyes lit up, and he went straight to the laboratory without paying attention to Minato's eyes waiting for praise. Bloodline ninja. Bloodline ninja. Rope Tree began to gradually test the nuclear genetic material of bloodline ninjas, and began to make comparison charts. Although everyone's genetic material is different, if they are related by blood, they actually have obvious commonalities. Now we not only need to make a genetic map of the same family, but also make a genetic comparison map of these bloodline ninjas. It would be best if we can also get the reproductive cells of these bloodline ninjas. Rope Tree was a little excited. He probably found a key point. However, the research department has just been established, and many things are missing. Rope Tree faces the same difficulties as Orochimaru. Too few samples. There are really not too many bloodline ninjas in Konoha, so this leads to Rope Tree having a grand plan, but not enough data to confirm his conjecture. But Rope Tree knows where there are many bloodline ninjas. Kirigakure village. This village was deformed when it was first established, and many bloodline families controlled the supreme power of the village together. So the Mizukage can be said to be the least powerful of the 5 Kages, especially the 3rd generation Mizukage who is in power now. Although the 1st generation Mizukage is powerful, he is actually a spokesperson created by the Kirigakure bloodline family. When it came to the 2nd generation Mizukage, these big families didn't even pretend, and directly one of the strongest families, the Hazuki family, took over. But later it is estimated that other families found that letting a member of a wealthy family to serve as Mizukage still has many hidden dangers. After all, the appearance of a powerful Kage with a strong background is too big a blow to other wealthy families. So the puppet of the 3rd generation Mizukage took over after the 2nd generation Mizukage Hazuki Huanayu died in battle. Although the 3rd generation Mizukage has been in office for a long time, his policies are basically the same. He inherited the will of the 2nd generation Mizukage and developed some civilian forces. The real power is actually in the hands of several wealthy families. Hazuki, Mizunotsuki, Kaguya, and Libera are all well-known families in the ninja world. What's more, there are also ninjas of the dissolution and boiling styles, as well as super monsters like Meditarumi, who possess 2 bloodline limits. This place is simply a holy place for bloodline ninjas. It's a pity that the future Uchiha Obito controlled the 4th generation Mizukage, Kiratachi Yagira, and either to avenge Ling or to maximize power, he slaughtered the bloodline families of Kirigakure, leaving only a few big cats and small cats. Although Naoki wanted to go to Kirigakure village immediately to catch a few bloodline ninjas, but now that Orochimaru is in seclusion, he can't just be a hands-off boss, right? It's not impossible. Welcome home, the best sister in the world. Sister, you've worked so hard. Tsunade, who was tired all day, returned home, only to find that Naoki had rarely cooked a table full of meals, and looked at her with a smile. Something's wrong. Tsunade looked at Naoki with a vigilant look on her face and immediately began to check the room. But Naoki was still naive, and snatched the code from Tsunade's hand. Sister, you are so tired from work, come and eat. The bath water is already boiled. By the way, I also bought your favorite shochu. Tsunade checked for a long time, and found nothing unusual in the house, and then looked at the colorful food. Did you poison it? Tsunade smelled the food carefully, and looked at Naoki with raised eyebrows. What do you want to do? Oh, sister, you are wrong to say that. I'm your biological brother. Isn't it my duty to respect my sister? Tsunade suddenly thought of something and said gloomily, who is it? Huh? Tsunade looked at Naoki. Did you get someone pregnant and come to admit your mistake to me? Ninja method. Instant petrification technique. Naoki stood still. Seeing that Naoki did not react, Tsunade was more certain that her guess was correct. Since you have done it, you must be responsible for it. Don't worry, I'm not the kind of parent who looks down on others. Tell me now. Who is it? Naoki had no choice but to tell her request. After all, if Tsunade continued to guess, she would be married off. I don't have time. Hearing that it was not about continuing the family line of the Senju clan, Tsunade immediately lost interest and vented her emotions on the dazzling array of food. Sister, can you think about it? It's about a shadow clone. Get lost. Naoki was still unwilling to give up and tried hard to get Tsunade to help her take charge of the research department. No, I'm already very busy in the hospital. There are handsome guys. Huh. But the next day, when Tsunade saw Minato, who had not yet fully developed, she beat Naoki violently in front of hundreds of people in the research department. Plan A failed. Plan B was implemented. Koichi, come here. Koichi came to Naoki's office and took off his mask, and it was Senju Kirura. Master, what can I do for you? Call me the deputy director of the research department, or Master Naoki, or just Master Naoki. Okay Naoki. It's really hitting the snake with a stick. But Naoki didn't want to get entangled in such things, so he had to ask Senju Kirura to pretend to be himself and continue to supervise the research department. There is no other way. If Tsunade came, it would be unnecessary to be so troublesome. After all, Tsunade's qualifications and strength are there. It would be a bit embarrassing to use Senju Kirura. Although her strength is at the level of a jonin, no one knows her. Senju Kirura was also a little at a loss. Is this really okay? Master Naoki, I know nothing about the research department. If you let me fight, it's okay, but managing the research department. Naoki smiled and comforted her. It's okay, I'll recommend you an assistant. Ding ding ding. Naoki pointed at the short Minato behind his chair. If you encounter any problems, just ask him. Me. 2 pairs of eyes, one big and one small, revealed embarrassment. Don't underestimate Minato. This guy is a genius, and if things don't work out, there's still my sister. You should be familiar with it. But, it's just a happy decision. Naoki slammed the table and made the decision without giving the two a chance to speak. A few days later, Danzo also sent some information and ninjutsu scrolls. Naoki saved the information and planned to wait for Orochimaru to come out of seclusion for him to study. As for the forbidden techniques created by the 2nd generation, Naoki made a copy and gave it to Tsunade. After all, many of the ninjutsu in it are strategic level ninjutsu that can change the situation in the ninja world, so Naoki had to be careful. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.